Vadil, Kylie, and Frostroki under pressure here from our top 4 French trio of Nakos, Floki, and Clement.
And Vidil was one of those trios that was so hot coming into the grand finals, and they just literally, just like a hot iron heading cold water, boom, just get cooled down instantly, just like that chug splash. No doubt must be feeling right now. It's so sweaty, the competition is going to get so stiff, and you're looking at here, things are going to get ratcheted up a notch. Considering Sundown, we have a Coral Castle finish in our midst, in the distance. But let's just focus in on this trio fight right now. Floki, Clement, Nakos, who's been heating up, had a great game previously. These are the fights that they had lose, because we saw it in day 1 where they had those bad game 2 and game 3. This cannot go, they have to go their way here. Yes, it's a nice knock on Vadil.
Yeah, Floki actually just put Vadil in a blender there for a second, getting over to the side there. Kylie also going to end up dropping from a couple boxes away, getting a key siphon too over onto Nakos, who desperately needed the extra shield. They wanted that pickup. They know that Frostroki is still around here somewhere. They have the additional flopper, but keep an eye on the bottom right-hand corner. See all of those triangles who are already rotating the zone ahead of them, and with only one shockwave, it's going to be very dangerous for this trio to approach the outside. Still 66 players remaining. 25 trios, so continuing the trend of having a little bit of a denser lobby. However, thanks to those 3 eliminations, they're not going to have to worry about this tier 2 storm surge when it rears its head.
Yeah, it feels great. They got the elims, but they're not yet in the placement threshold. We are about 8 trios going down before we can start doling out those points. And this is the things they're already overcoming these engagement obstacles, but they're not out of the water yet. There's still some stormy skies ahead of them. Nakos, Floki, and Clemento are making their way up the board slowly and surely, but they're going to need Nakos, Floki, and Clemento are making their way up. Be focused, but that's what you got to do. You're gonna have to shoot back and let the people know that are doing those window edits stop shooting at me.
And one of the key things about this trio is their ability to get eliminations gives them the opportunity to climb up the leaderboard just a little bit more effectively. Again, we've talked about it in the games where they don't drop right away. They're one of the more aggressive trios, so their averages are brought down a little bit by those complete and utter goose egg games. When you take those out of consideration, they have a really good time. But forget what I'm saying right now, as the matter of importance is in the bottom right-hand corner. You see that white circle? That's the 4th safe zone. There's only 3 trios currently inside of it, so everyone else is going to begin a mad dash to just pack in on the southern side of that circle. The entirety of the lobby will be trying to squeeze into that area because everyone else is going to be coming from that side. Nobody wants to put themselves as the first ones out over water. It makes it so easy. You can see everyone going at once, just desperately swimming, hoping to avoid the fire at the top. And just look at the charge up the beach. Storming the beachhead comes EU.
Oh my goodness, and we're seeing trios already going for height. Mongo and Mitro at height, and just behind them, looming in a distance, as Benzi trio. And they're kind of gambling in. If the circle goes their way and half in and half out, they're going to have a strong hold here. So Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson here are just now beaming any kind of salmon trying to swim upstream. And they're going to be that bear that's going to feed on this entire rotation here. And look at the congestion that you're seeing here. Everybody, like you mentioned, Sundown, all trying to get on the beach as much as possible and hold on tight. And already there's only one trio that's kind of sitting up there, that pink one, and Floki. Oh no, Floki goes down. Floki goes down. That engagement that took up the time is influencing them. It's hurting them on this rotation, Sundown.
And they're completely out there. Clement got picked up earlier. Nakos going down right afterward in the long rotation. The top 14, we talked about their ability to get eliminations, but at what cost? Apparently everything, as our #1 trio sits high atop their perch, high atop the throne. They're first in the leaderboard. They're first right now in positioning here. Nakos gets a little bit of a gimme there as Dave, aka Rojo, will tick over, but one more player will drop and our storm surge will turn off. We have 19 trios left, so almost into the placement points, but yet again up on the high ground. Mitro, Mongrel, and Tayson priority positioning. Our second place team still in the lobby, but they're going to have to be toppled at some point. The clock is against everyone else, as Janice and Andalex are also without a squeeze. They're in a duo. However, luckily for everyone kind of.
No,
the lobby is pulling
no.
completely away from that with the little side note that we are going all the way over the water. So expect a ton of utility to be burnt here with only 3 trios having priority.
Split Splash, we are taking a bath here in this in-game. It's all going to be aquatic. It's all going to be chaotic. It's all going to be dangerous. But at the end, there's going to be someone that's going to have a victory royale. They're going to be soaked. They're going to be tired from all the sweat and all the water. But it's going to be a big game. Somebody could easily kind of bolt their way up their leaderboard. But if Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson, yes, they didn't get the victory royale. But Shayo said it best. They kind of got a mini victory just by staying up. And look at it. They're at height. This is going to be big considering everything's going to be over water. The low ground warriors are not going to have the ability to save their resources because they're going to have to build floors as well.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. Every single game, and it's going to have to be pried out of our eliminated bodies right now. As you can see, 3 eliminations, everyone still trying to pack on in, and again, placement points starting to get doled out. And as we keep an eye on the top of the leaderboard, every single placement point that Tayson, Mongrel, and Mitro get effectively nullifies the placement points everyone else is getting, because it doesn't matter if you get that point, they're getting it too. They'll continue to open up that lead, and unless somebody can knock them down off of this throne, it looks like it's going to continue to be a battle for second. As the 5th zone will close, we'll have our transition into the end game, and we're gonna head over to the shark, baby.
Yes, and now Cammy, that was a trio that was able to knock off Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson with a shockwave play. That is the EU thing to do. No doubt, Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson know how to kind of combat that. They know the defense, and they get a good spread, and there it is. They're going to beam all these people trying to go for it. They're already going to the tip of the nose of the shark. They're becoming the sharks of the region. We already have a rogue shark in NA East, the X-Set boys, and all that. But Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson are being the alpha predators, the apex of right now in this EU region, and that is proof in the pudding, considering they're sitting on top of the leaderboard and they're looking pretty and they're looking swaggish, because right now Tayson picked up a knock in the feet, and we already seen this. Double E limbs comes from height. The E limb natality is strong with this trio.
And you can see, have you ever just wanted a shark with a laser beam on top of its head? Well, this is the best you'll ever get. It's Mongrel up there with a legendary Stark infantry rifle, raining shots from above. We saw Savage go down in the feed. Lefty's going to pick up another Elim. Despite the fact that 17 players have dropped, not a single trio has gone down, so only 1 placement point doled out. And as I say that, they begin to tick over. Mongrel gets another elimination. 15 trios remaining, going to be forced over to the side. He's going to build back up. He needs to get over to the high ground and connect with this team, but they are doing a great job of executing this textbook high ground control, and it's going to be their match to close out. However, low on mats is Mongo, but he says, don't matter, don't care. I got the AR I need in the Stark Industry Rifle, and he finds another elimination. We have our top 20 players, top 11 trios.
And it's going to go back over water again. And it all is up to Tayson, the in-game leader, to kind of lead Mongo and Mitro to the prime positioning with getting a knock on ZQ, getting them those angles that they need to send those beams down. We've already labeled these as one of the strongest players in the region with beams, and look at this, it's going to go off a waterfall, so the more elevation is going to go down and down. This is going to be crazy. This is intense. Coral Castle, and now we're going to take a peek just for a brief moment at what is going down in the chaos down below. We have the ultimate box fighter teams, Wolfie, CRR, and Kenzel sitting in 3rd place, trying to say, wait a minute, not so fast, Mongo. We are going to contest you, and we're going to have a chance to win, but it's going to require a huge effort to dethrone the kings on top, Sundown.
And we still need to see them go down. However, Jen is on his feet despite Andelix being up. So the 2nd place team at least still getting up to 5th. That's what the top trios do the best in the game. They manage to find a way to eke out these placement points. We've talked about it, that Europe has kind of been the run of the Lone Ranger of the final moments. And if there isn't a trio hip to hip, then there's an opportunity for the clutches to come through. But right now on the low ground, you have one of the most dangerous trios who is hip to hip, as Hen will go down there. Deceptos following in his feet right away. We'll signal the end of that trio, but Wolfies is at the back of the storm. But at the end of the day, the story of EU, time and time again, E11 Tayson, the Chapter 2, Season 3 solo winner, Liquid Metro and Mongrel on the high ground, running it out. It's a 3v2. They have 11 eliminations, and at this point, it is a battle for second. There is no way, unless there is a monumental ruin, that with the way this trio is playing so far, anybody will be able to catch them or repeat this performance. And this is why Metro drops down. Tayson and Mongrel shooting fish in a literal barrel of the zone. 13 eliminations, 38 points.
You know they're feeling it when Tayson edit downs Metro to be the ultimate swanton bomb off the top rope, getting the big-time elims and the victory royale. Sundown. Wow, man. We all question, will Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson have a successful hot start in day 2? And that right there, with the great consistency in that opening games, proves that they have a great chance of walking away to being that FNCS Trios champion.
55 points through the first 2 games. This trio is averaging now just over 25 points a game. That's a victory royale with nothing else. This run is nuts, but we're going to send it on over to Zeke, Shio, and Reese to show us how good it really is.
First game jitters, no... Thank you, Reese.
Number 1.
Thank you. Number 1. Listen, first game jitters are gone. The trio cracks back. I can't believe it. And these guys did a perfect job of calling this out for us, right? Tayson being your solos invitational FNCS champion from Chapter 2, Season 3. Coming in, you've got the veterans, the pioneers, Mongrel and Metro. You slam them all together, and we may very well be looking at the next FNCS Trios champions. Let's take a look at these leaderboards. Look at this lead, gentlemen.
It is monstrous. 186 points to 122, and these guys have 3 victory royales.
That's incredible, actually. 64 points in the lead. And you know, Mongrel and Metro have been known as this really aggressive 2 players. Solo, duo, trio, squads, it doesn't matter. These guys are very, very aggressive. And, you know, when they started teaming up with Tayson, I felt like it was a personal, fantastic choice because Tayson is very calm, collected, very keeps his own head, and he can IGL these guys into victory. And throughout the start of the FNCS, there was a lot of memes on social media about Tayson, you know, struggling to keep these 2 on their leash. But it seems like at this point, he's wrapped it all up, and these guys are just playing incredibly consistently.
And we'll have much more to break down as to what they did in that last game. Pay attention to the 2nd and 3rd place, Kinzel and X Squeezes trio. These guys are now just 1 point beside each other. We'll see how their story kind of unfolds in these next few games and who gets to have that 2nd place slot. Over here from 6th all the way to 10th place, Benji, Savage, and Letchi finding some success with elims in a few games, not making those end games completely. 85 points right now. Past that from 7th to 10th, it is just a 4-point game from Floris' trio all the way down to Teeks.
Yeah, very, very close between the 6th and 10th. And, you know, we just talked about Benji's team there. They kind of have been struggling being contested off spawn, kind of similar to what we've seen during the qualifiers. You know, they'll win that fight, but it'll drag out way too long, and the rotations just aren't good because of that. So I don't know what the next plan is for the next few games today, but hopefully they can kind of figure that out. But moving on to our next page, 11th down to 15th, kind of the similar names that we've seen over the last 2 days on this page.
Yeah, I was going to say that the top 15 is really kind of looking standard now. These guys have found their pacing. It's about improving even more now, taking every game as an individual moment, analyzing it, making the best decisions, and winning, just like we saw Metro, Mongrel, and Tayson do in that last game. From 16th to 20th overall, we also have a few new names coming in and out, but at the same time, the same teams still on the page. We see Lanoof, Marine, and Jaspe on this page right now, 47 points, contesting that top team in first place. Hen, Deciptos, and Putrick finding some success here on day 2, but these guys will have to have great games to catch up to that top 5.
Guys, this last game felt like a superhero movie, right? We had the shot of the waterfall. We had players trying to go up and down. And then finally the heroes find themselves basking in the sun at the end, being victorious. I mean, we very well could be looking at our next FNCS champions, but there's more that kind of happened here in the game. So I'm going to kick it over to you guys. Walk us through what you guys are seeing.
that will have some big perspectives here earlier on in that end game from Mongrel, and how these guys kind of learned from their last game, game number 1 of today, fixed their mistakes, and in game number 2 really played the zone very well to get that victory royale.
You can see they're already on height at this point, but they claimed that during the 50-50 zone because they got the zone right on them from 4th. But these guys are good. They'd already claimed a high ground position earlier on, so when they got that 5th zone, they could completely utilize that and keep height from there on out.
Yeah, in game 1, the mistake was kind of putting all the eggs in one basket, but not really knowing exactly where that basket stood. In this zone, there was water completely in the low ground. They were very comfortable on staying on height the whole time. Tayson here as well staying at the front. Mongrel staying in the back so he could keep tabs on any trios trying to shockwave up like we saw Artours do before. There's that water dive bomb play as Sancho called out. CRR, Kinzel, and Wolfies tried their best to play this water zone, but being on height is the best choice when you're in this type of zone, this aquatic kind of formation of what ends up happening for everyone on low. It's so hard to find your footing, and because of that, Metro, Mongrel, and Tayson stayed high, stayed dry, and ended up winning that game with beautiful decision making.
And Metro actually, if you saw there, edited down by Tayson, which didn't seem like an accident. You know, initially when you watched that back, it seemed like Metro was going to make the aggressive play to go pick up those eliminations. But, you know, even the top teams make a mistake at the end, accidentally editing Metro down into the water. But because they were over that water, he was safe from fall damage, and they all managed to frag out and pick up that big victory royale.
Hey, look, you just got to fake it till you make it, right? It's not a mistake if you don't call it out. It's a calculated risk, a calculated plan of attack. And when you're as far ahead as these guys, when you're as skilled as these guys, when you've been on the scene as long as these guys, they turn these L's into W's. That's just what they do. I want to see them continue with this momentum. Remember, we've got another 5 games on the day. Anything can happen, but will it? We have to kick it back over to our casters to continue the storylines, and we'll be back after this with more breakdowns. Take it away, boys.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio, and Reese. And here we are into the match number 8. And so far, it's been all Tayson, Mongrel, and Metro with nothing less than a 7th place finish over their first 7 matches. So incredibly well done. But already looking at the mini-map, for the first time in what feels like a long time, there's some other triangles at Stark Industries. So somebody has decided to pony up. Somebody has decided to rise to the challenge and be the David to their Goliath over at Stark Industries. We'll be keeping an eye on that elimination feed, but with the Southern Zone 2 right on the edge of that, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Hey, I don't know, man. I've been watching Ghostbusters getting me in the Halloween spirit. You guys released some awesome outfits. And that is a biblical proportion type feat. That is one giant marshmallow man to overcome there. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to bust the bubble of Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson. They are on an unbelievable ride. But one hero that may stand tall, one trio that can get that job done is Kenzel, Wolfies, and CRR. They can make things interesting. And the reason why I say that is because they could pop off with elims as well. And they've been putting it all together. We're getting some placement points sundown.
And one thing to note in particular about the last game, you saw how he had the bandage cannon on the low ground, but being out of mats, and when you're in the water, you can't actually fire the bandage against anything. It will go all the way down to the bottom of the water. So despite being on 20 HP, he didn't have anything to kind of mark himself against, as we actually see up in the elimination feed, and Dretta pick up another early elimination there. But also, we saw Lecce end up going down as well. So another one of our power trios over at Doom's Domain struggling a little bit here off of the start. The Dual Media boys giving them everything they can handle so far here on day 2.
And I gotta know, as we seen that Snipe does pick up an elim on Benji, what happened? What went down there in Stark Industry? We gotta see in a moment notice. We'll get that replay up going.
Yeah, and that was Benji's full elim as well. Their trio is down. You keep an eye on that top left corner now, as we're going to see. It's an Thomas HD and Flick. If there's anybody to rise to the challenge and go after these guys, it will be them. You can see Anas already holding on to the elimination. Flick finds Metro off of the start, and not only that, but the power weapons in their hands. You can see Tayson tries to make a little bit of an escape here, but you know they're going to ride that one down right away. Big white tags coming out there, and Flick who accounts for 75% of this trio's eliminations pre-zone 5, is going to find his second one here, and they're going to wrap up for the first time in this tournament. Tayson, Metro, and Mongrel go down with 0 points. They had never finished lower than 7th place before this, and that was all the way back in the first game. So now, all of a sudden, that battle for second place, everyone else gets that one opportunity to kind of, I believe the technical term is, shrink that leaderboard gap just a little bit.
Oh man, and that is the story that we have now developing. I took a look at Twitter, okay? I took a look, and Flick, all he tweeted out was a demon emote. That's all, emoji. That's all he tweeted out. Anas, he said, we should have never left. I'm telling you, the problems of switching from their drop spot. They switched from that dirty docks where they were being so strong and so prominent, and they had strong finishes. When they switched to retail row, I just think they noticed that it wasn't enough. They weren't getting their power weapons. They weren't getting all the resources that they need for their playstyle. And now they realize that, hey, man, you know, hey, you never know. They could pop up. You never know, Sundown.
And we've talked about it before as well with this trio coming through. One, they're incredible in terms of their playmaking ability, whether it's early or late game. We've seen Flick just kind of let running. They also get a nice little Llama 210 pick up there, some extra maps, extra utility. Not that the Stark Industries team will need it after that fact, but I mean, the playmaking capability. But on the flip side of that, let's talk about kind of the mental check that's now going to put on Metro, Mongrel, and Tayson.
Huge.
Because for this entire competition, they haven't had to worry about sitting there in queues. They haven't had to worry about thinking who's going to come there. They haven't had to game plan something else. They haven't had to prep for somebody to come challenge them. Now, all of a sudden, not only are you eliminated in 30 seconds with 0 points, you have to sit there for a half hour, watch everyone else play outside while you're stuck there in jail. No more games for you back in the lobby. And they're out of that rhythm a little bit. They're a trio who very much kind of rides on that momentum. They're very, very emotional players. When they made the World Cup announcement back in the day, people joked about Metro and Mongrel being the loudest duo, both for the keyboard clacks and just the way they celebrate when they make their plays. But now that they've been silenced for a second, how do they react?
Tayson will have the biggest challenge of them all. Will Mongrel and Metro put up that brick wall and not listen to his calls? It's going to be up to Tayson to kind of hold that ship from going capsizing completely. Giannis, Analex, and Xweez, they have an opportunity now to gain some grounds here. They are about 60-plus points away. They're certainly sitting in second place. Another trio that we took a peek in down in Slurpy Swamps was Kinzel, Wolfie, and CR. That opens up the door to gain some ground, but we're talking about a difference of about 2 victory royales and some like close to double-digit elims. That's what's going to be required, and the difference is as well as we still have plenty of games to go, Sundown. We're just barely into the second half here of the grand finals here of the FNCS trios.
And it was starting to feel like it couldn't be overcome because of how consistent they were. There was no hope. There was nobody who wanted to rise up and be the ones to challenge them. However, we've kind of talked about it before. Like, Jasper and Co., yes, they 50-50'd the chess, but they were relatively successful, and they turned a couple of those late games around. So especially if a top trio comes in with a game plan on how to take those fights, and they come in not necessarily fearing those three off of the bat, which they're one of the 3 players who can really genuinely say, like, yeah, let's go fight these guys and maybe come out better than 50-50. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to think, okay, Mongrel really wants to get revenge there, but if they're not, they haven't had to practice this drop being contested through the first 6 or 7 games. Now, all of a sudden, 8th game, they lose it. 9th game, if they lose it again, there's going to be that seed of doubt in there. But right now, Razumi trying to get a little bit of doubt on this team, rotating away here, and a little bit of storm tags as they just remain utilizing their soft mats to get some positioning.
And Sapphics trio here is looking for a good start here in day 2. Haven't gotten any points at the moment in 11th place. Sapphic has been one of our slayers here in the region, picking up 15 plus elims by himself. But Speaking of opportunities, opening the door here, it feels like, at Anas, Thomas, Stacey, and Flick have slayed the beast, right? Now all the villagers are going to have a good time to try to claim that castle up there. And Nakos, Clement, and Floki's have an opportunity to storm that castle. They're sitting in 4th place at the moment. They're still about 30 points away, so that is a victory royale. They could definitely do it in one punch, but they could slowly jab their way up their leaderboard, Sundown.
I would say it's probably more equivalent to either scratching the dragon's nose and making him think for a second.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's where he breathes the fire out of, so he's got like a little. It's like,
Yeah,
hey, let's minor discomfort. I wasn't ready for that. I'm gonna come back in a moment, but like, the villagers are celebrating. They're like, yay, we drove off the beast. Or it's like punching a great white shark in the face. It's like, yeah, you know what? You punched the great white shark in the face, but that shark is still in the water with you. Yeah, you showed that maybe you might be a little bit of a threat, and maybe you can punch back. But he's still there. They still exist. And while they're going to be forced out for just a little second, one, who takes advantage of that opportunity? And two, what happens when that angry shark, that angry dragon, the poked bear decides to come back in the next match? But right now, we're going to keep on board here with the teams who will have an opportunity to close the gap, because realistically, going into the back 5 of these games, only really the teams in the top 4 or maybe the top 5 can statistically still kind of overtake this route, and it's going to take a large effort. As you see Clement going and doing every little thing right, making sure they maximize on the utility here, going all the way out and picking up that second big pot, and then going to rotate back up the zone.
I know the Halloween party is over and all that spooky scariness, but I've always learned to double tap. You always got to double tap and make sure that monster is down. And that's what Flick, Thomas, and Nos, they're going to have to double tap that down if they're going to keep Mongrel's trio at bay. So, Mongrel trio is out. Now let's just focus in on who is in and who has the opportunity to go up the leaderboard. And if you're questioning anybody out there, like, why would Thomas and Nas and Flick do that? Because they're slipping down the leaderboard. They start off the day with 15th. They're going down to 17th. Having Stark, that strong POI in their back pocket now, could enable them to get up their leaderboard and secure themselves thousands of dollars. All of it is on the line.
And people are going to say, oh, why would they go and grief the top trio like that? And to my response to that, are you crazy? Are you crazy? They're competing to try to be the absolute top mark.
Yes.
And if this is a trio who is more than capable of winning games, especially when you see Thomas and Anas enabled with shockwaves, that's kind of what you really need to take away. They have to have a reliable way of getting the late game utility. That's how they've won their games. And if you can go Stark and guarantee that, yes, you have to fight one of the best teams in the entire game to get them. But if you want to win, you have to beat those guys anyway. And they finally said enough is enough. And if you're going to post your spot on Twitter, if you're going to talk about how you're so good at defending this spot, you better have a game plan and you better back it up. Because anybody has the opportunity to land anywhere. This is Fortnite Battle Royale. And if a team gives you a hard enough time, you need to game plan better and find a way to deal with it.
And that is what we call preach right then and there, Sundown. Now we're on board here with the BDS Robots. They got a victory royale here. They were able to have a very nice aggressive play. They kind of took the textbook of fighting on the low ground, doing really well, and they got a victory royale. So one of the few teams that have a victory royale, because Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson have 3 victory royales. Yanis trio has 1 victory royale. Kenzel's trio has 1, and as well, Gamma's Cammy's trio has 1 as well. Cammy and Co. So those are the stories that are unfolding here. And the great thing is, we can speculate all you want, but it is the competitors themselves that answers the questions. And that is what we're watching here as the drama unfolds. And the drama will pick up for Wolfies and CRR, considering Kenzel, the back-to-back DreamHack champion, goes down. And Kenzel is just like Tayson for this trio. He kind of holds it all together, considering that in DreamHack, it's a very placement-heavy format. And having that ability to kind of slow pace, passively, aggressively at times whenever you needed to get your way further into in-game, that's going to help off people like CRR Wolfies, who are known to be great opens box fighter players.
But right now, we're keeping an eye on that Storm Surge threshold on the right-hand side, just above the map. We talked about them being below it. Well, the key snipe there coming from that World Cup runner-up there, the young controller player from England. Wolfie's finding a great tag and a sneaky little bullet in there onto Kira through the window, just like a true sniper would. well done to put himself above. And we talk about the little moments. That moment is so much bigger than just the 1 point on the elimination. Shedding themselves of that Storm Surge threat is going to be massive in terms of just getting positioning. As we've seen, atypical compared to what we've seen in Europe so far, there's been more and more Storm Surge pressure, and coming into grand finals, no team had more elims versus Mongrel's trio than Flicks, and a part of that has to do with the rotation path. They're always coming out of the east and passing that Stark Industries, and also, man, just pound for pound, they're one of the few trios who actual wall-to-wall matches up with those guys. And when we talk about kind of wall-to-wall, that's when you're in a box against somebody and not necessarily in the same space, but owning one or two walls in between you guys. These guys execute on those fights almost better than anyone in Europe.
And Thomas is a superstar, had a great run in heats. Nas and Flick are right behind him as well. They're forming a very strong trio. Thomas HG had some Twitter barbs with Zexro from NA East. Thomas HG was talking about, hey, who could come over here from NA East and compete? Should I go over there? It's so interesting. We all wish we had a World Cup Part 2. Like I said, sometimes the sequels are better than the originals. We all wish that. We all wish we'd be able to settle the great debate of EU versus NA. And don't forget about the Latin American. Don't forget about the Asia. Don't forget about OCE. We're talking about Fortnite, baby, worldwide. Some of the best competitors all throwing down, and it's all happening here in this amazing month here. I cannot wait to see who's going to walk away champion here for EU, and I cannot wait to see who's going to walk away for champion in NA East, so the debate's going to kick up back up again.
You can see right now we're hopping on board here with that second place team on the leaderboard who's going to try and take advantage of that opportunity to shrink that leaderboard and shrink the lead of that top trio. But I'm glad you mentioned something about Latin America, because if there's an international land, we've seen just how good King can be in those circumstances. But right now, all the focus is on Europe as Xqueeze, aka MCES, duck on top there, finds a nice little knock and some key shots on players trying to rotate in. Now, this positioning, we've talked about it time and time before, it's called a gatekeeping position. When you're in the safe zone and pressuring players who have the zone at their back or either already into it and need to make it into the new safe zone. And it's where a lot of teams who had the foresight to rotate earlier are able to get key opportunities to pick up eliminations. And you can see right now, Duck on top doing a great job spraying down shots there, having control of the pieces in the area, and now trying to locate where that weak member is.
And we're seeing already the rest of the lobby, seems to heating up at the right moment. Hen picks up a knock right there in the Elam feed, so that's going to be huge for them. Now that we know that the big monsters are out of the game, that's just going to make everyone play a little bit more loose. It's like all of a sudden the parents are not watching anymore. The kids are going to run rambunctious. The Rugrats are going to do what they do best, and that's going to be an opportunity that they have to capitalize. You're going to have a big pop-up game here if you're Analex, Xqueeze, and Giannis, if you want an opportunity to get that first place. And I mean, we're all going to have to keep an eye on. We talked about moments leading to bigger moments, and that moment of the opening engagement from Thomas, Flick, and Anas getting out Mongrel is causing so much waves throughout the entire time. And look at that. Analyx, Giannis have someone on the ropes in that back half. Let's take a look at the overall picture here and see who's going to have a strong position going forward. This is going to be a very interesting in-game, considering we have a lot of water and Lazy Lake POI in the distance.
And right now, you can see Wolfie, CRR not having to move, just still perched up on top of the building. Lanouf, Moraine, Jaspe, the other team who had originally contested over at Stark Industries, but not brave enough to go over there in the grand finals, posted up. Getting a nice 360 view here. Shout out to the observers, by the way. They've done a great job catching all of the action and giving us some of these beautiful shots. So you see a nice little double ramp rush coming out from our second place team. That to me indicates that that fourth zone was revealed, and they're going to try and get priority over that entire western side, and a good push from them there. As we see Floki also pick up an elimination onto Swag. So the French trio continuing their tradition of picking up more elims than normal in the mid game, as Andalex in another one of those gatekeeping positions here, priority high zone. And I mean, the reason they're packed around the outside is that fourth circle. So we have half in, half out right after this.
And this is a strong gatekeeping opportunity. The only danger they risk is getting sniped returned. And that kind of return to sender type lethality is going to be so dangerous to deal with. But they're sitting good. They're covering angles. And almost someone kind of almost out of nowhere, kind of peekaboo, jack in the box, took a shotgun blast for Analyx and kind of woke him up for a brief moment. You got to be careful here. You have those edits open. The greed sets in. And we've been seeing time again, Benji gets sniped in the back various times. We saw a highlight where Thomas HD was able to sneak up on him and they had a harpoon snipe play. Hey, that greed could catch up to you. You have to be sure that you have all your angles covered before you move on. But look at this, Sundown, a max rotation pull, and this is going to be tough for Analyx Giannis and Squeeze, considering that there's a lot of people in their way for making this rotation.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. Okay, I was just about to say, trying to see who has shockwaves on that side, because they're going to be using it right away. Because if you go too late, everyone else on that side will have already built up on the high ground and be turning around. So you need to kind of time it with other teams so there's a plethora of targets going through the air and you don't end up just getting swatted down like a clay pigeon. But right now, Squeeze and Analyx instead opting to stay up on their high ground, and they're going to pick up Patrick and Deceptos, leaving Hen all by himself there. We're also now rotating into the first round of placement points. 18 trios remaining, so one more will need to fall. Then every single trio that drops will be a singular point. Wolfies picks up a huge knock there onto Clement, indicating they're also making a rotation towards kind of that central zone. Everybody already posted up in Lazy Lake is more than happy and keeping an eye on the Elim feed. Janice gets knocked there as well. So our top four trios facing a little bit of adversity, but who's capitalizing on the opportunity right now? It's the team who took the situations by the horns. Thomas HD and Co. grabbing some Elims, but we're going to hop back on board here with Nate, Smash Dave, and Bobo, Exalti, our wild card team, trying to find some more rifle Elims on the side.
Rojo's team going into the day were top 10. They kind of slipped a little bit there, and they're trying to find their footing in 12th place. This is a strong opportunity. You had basically the lowest of chances to get into the grand finals, and you were one of the ones that came out on top in a wild card finish. And there's just proving the point how strong the EU region is. The 33rd team is now sitting in a top 15 situation. Now we're going to kind of pull back. Let's take a look. We already know that actually Wolfie's spot get taken out by Flix Trio. So now we're going to take a look here as now the first 6 full rotating circle is revealed, and Exalti, Nate, and Rojo get that prime priority position.
And that's the benefit of going early with the utility. They're going to be able to go before anybody else identifies the opportunity to. Keeping an eye on the top left, Thomas HD and Co. still rattling off the eliminations and making their push further up into the money, taking advantage of the opportunity they made for themselves. It's a breaching charge up the leaderboard, but right there, Bobo finding a great shot and good conversion onto Matzo that Rojo's going to be able to pick up. Hen still on his feet, trying to do it 1v3 style like he's used to. Steelix finding CRR in the feed as well, but Bobo just trying to find a little bit of room here on the low ground. Sees his teammates are a couple levels above him, should be looking to rejoin them, as now we're going to flip on over to the side of the zone, get a wide shot there to see everyone trying to rotate and get in front so they can then about face on the rest of the lobby. And our second place trio is still up on their feet, but it's just in a duo form, as Floki is also going to get knocked. It's all going to be on Nakos now for our 4th place trio, as the first placement points will take over. Every trio up beginning 1 point, but still 40 players remaining, 9 of which are under Storm Surge. Our 4th place trio going down. 2nd place trio also getting knocked here, as Nate, Dave, and Bobo are continuing to just be on the front priority of the zone. Hen doing his best solo ranger impression, picking up another knock, but right now all about priority, as these guys are going to begin to find picks.
We're going to see a new name at Hype very shortly, considering Mongo Trios is out. They went out at the very beginning. This is the wild card on the low ground, working as a unit, doing really well. They're trying to find space control. They don't have much of it, considering there's a lot of enemy builds, but they're going on the storm side of things, so they're going to be able to save as much as possible. A nice pickup by Nate right there is going to go back into the storm to pick up those valuable loot. Now we're going to get a point and see and look at who's at the mid ground, who's at second height, who is at the low ground. It looks like Nate, Exalti, actually Bobo going down. So it's going to be Nate to Rojo right now. And Rojo is really low. So all of it's going to be back time for Nate, considering that he has a strong power weapon. He has some crash pads, so he can cause some destruction. And now Nate is going solo dolo. Steely picks up an Elam. Heatsy picks up an elim, and Steely, and Hen picks up a knock, and Hen is still up, and Nate picks up an elim. Everybody's trying to capitalize that, knowing that the big dogs are out of this match here, Sundown.
And Hen finally going down the solo run into the top 10, but Nate says, I'm Mr. Solo Dolo himself. Crash pad up on the high ground, gets Antarak, and we saw SLQ had a brilliant kind of tactical performance yesterday, hiding in the tree there for their second place, so some high ground control, but again, textbook from the top down. When they're given the power position, they're taking advantage and trying to storm up the leaderboard. Thomas HD flicking it off on the high ground and nothing to do now.
And Sweeze is out, so that is the second place team going down, getting eliminated. This is Thomas and Anas and Flick's world to be able to bolt themselves up their leaderboard. This is the strong opportunity to do so. They already have, look at that, double-digit elims, 11 elims. This is going to be such a strong game from this trio, and now we're in a top 4 situation. And Flick Anas and Thomas HD has initiated the spread, the split, the deadly split that a trio could initiate and rack up a lot of elims and cause disruption. And Flick has those crash pads as well. He's going to be able to throw them down and cause more disruption on the low ground.
But I want to see them execute and close out this game. Too many times during the qualifiers, they'll be in this position and it'll slip away in the final moment. And if they want to put themselves in the money, if they want to unseat Mitro, Mongol, and Tasten all the way, not just from the landing spot, but from a miraculous run and unseat them at the top, they have to get all the elims in the victory right now. Nos finding Flois in the side. Thomas making sure he's all the way up on height, and he has a shockwave to also throw down on the low ground. Going to continue with the crash pads, sends up Anas, but Flick goes down. They're going to put the heals onto Thomas, and then Anas is going to go down and try and close out the match. Challenge comes up at a big 75 tag coming through. Here's the thing. Anas is down 1v3, but the tick is going to end up coming over. Centric is in the zone. He has the healing pads, and Thomas HD clutches it up there. Well done, Louis, going down in 15 eliminations.
That was awesome. Unbelievable. It is grand finals. It is hype. We are going to need a leaderboard check. Zeke, Shio, and Reese, what you got for us?
I'm sorry. Did Thomas just full send it with no builds in that final moment? The confidence to say, look, I'm going over the edge here, and I'm walking away with the victory royale. Thomas, listen, okay? These are the plays. I cannot believe it. Also, the casters talked about it. This trio swapping it up, saying Mongrel, Mitro, Tayson, no longer. We are the new Kingslayers on the turf. We will find you on your POI. We will claim it as our own, and we will walk that through to the victory royale. A massive 40-point game swing, and now they are looking to contest in that top spot. Can they keep doing this, though? Shy, if they could keep this going, if they could keep shutting them down, we could see them walk away the victors.
It'll have to be a repeated time loop every single game, though. They'll have to come to bargain over and over again, because right now the top 5 is looking exactly the same.
You have no changes here at all. What I'm very interested to see, though, is where that put Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD. These guys really were not performing. They were down at 17th, and up to their own standards, these guys are definitely a top 5 team. However, where's this put them? And here's our answer. 6th place after that. So that's moved them up 11 spots on the leaderboard, just from one victory royale with 15 eliminations. Another team that we've seen moving up here there was Nate, Bobo, and Exalty there as well, down in 10th. These guys have moved up from 12th. I meant Rojo instead of Exalty. I said his name twice, but these guys are fantastic. They've moved up there from 5 eliminations, 5th, and we saw Nate going into a little bit of a solo endgame. He came 14th in the solo FNCS, so he's capable of that clutching, and that was really showing there in his gameplay.
Yeah, but Sundown said it best. It doesn't matter how many elims these guys get or if they just get the victory royale. It has to be everything. It has to be a combination of both in one game, done multiple times if you want to hit that top 5. Even with such an impressive game there from Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD, it only puts them in 6th, and they were all the way down here from 16th, 15th to 20th. So any of these teams, if they want a shot to push forward, get there in the top spots at the end of day 2, have to play perfectly repeatedly, and that is a tall ask.
Yeah, you know, some of the teams that we've seen here, 16 to 20, I kind of mentioned it last time. They're just struggling that early and mid game. If you look through their game history, a lot of them are going around that 25th, 24th slots. And this is, if you see this in the leaderboards, usually means that they're going down to Storm Surge. You know, they didn't have enough tags, and then they have to try and take a dumb fight that they didn't really need to.
Yeah, but now we have a little bit of a tournament on our hands because it's not guaranteed that the first place team of Metro, Mongrel, and Tayson has a game to play every single time off drop for free. Stark Industries is one of the most polarizing drops that can fight where they just end in a matter of 5 seconds.
Guys, this is very scary because you got to think about it. This time, it went Thomas and Trio's way. But this next game, especially if they're looking to contest them game after game, if they are the ones that fall and then Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson turn around and get a victory royale, this could really stunt their overall placement and like lessen the amount of prize money they could walk away on the day. We have a tournament on our hands. You said it the best. Now let's talk about what we have watched in this game, the change up of the drop spots. Break it all down for us.
It was Thomas, the hype tank train engine we were looking at in that last game. From the beginning, we saw it happen on stream, but let's look at it again. Making the last-ditch effort decision to contest one of the strongest spots on the map, to contest the first-place team, and win it without anyone going down. My goodness.
And you know, Anas tweeted that they were going to be landing here for every single event once the place was actually initially put into the game, and they didn't really hold up to that. However, we've just seen Anas on Twitter retweet it saying we're landing here, and this was clearly the forthcoming of that because they landed and they popped off big time.
Yep, when they continued it all the way to endgame, a dominant showing of just staying on height, a clutch crash bat to make sure Thomas HD got that bandage cannon. Then he had position. He goes for a super shockwave. He gets mid-air shots down. That Stark Energy rifle you can only really get at those drop ships, but at the same time also at Stark Industries. That's where they landed. They got the win. Flick went down. It's all good. They had complete trust in their last man who was clutching all the way towards the top. It was Thomas's show at the very end of the game, but it was this trio just playing so well and making the best decisions to keep their tournament dream alive.
It looked like there was some baby oil on the low ground there because so many teams all just fell at the exact same time going down. But Thomas HD, you can see the huge shockwave up there, and using the Stark rifle, kind of like Shio mentioned there, has really good accuracy from the hip fire, so while he's shockwaving, he's going to be able to hit those shots like that and pick up that big victory royale easily.
I just can't believe it. Just watching it back, it's like, dude, the confidence that Thomas has, and we were kind of talking right before we came back, it's like, Thomas, you've been in this situation before, you know what you need to do, and he's just so comfortable. For him, it looks so effortless, because in these times, he knows he can clutch. There's no fear, it's just, we're going. We're going to walk forward, we're going to find the victory out, and we're going to push ourselves closer and closer up to the top. I am so excited that this could be happening. I'm very scared to watch these trios fight it out again, because again, it may not go the same way. It may be very different, but we'll have to see. Fortnite fan, we're going to go to a break. When we return, the final 4 games, and inevitably, our new FNCS Trios champions. We'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Come back. You won't want to miss it.
What's going on, Fortnite fam? Reset back with another video, and in today's video I want to cover height. And we're going to be using Zate, Saf and Stretch as an example, and one of their games where they picked up a victory royale from Qualifier 3 Round 3 of the FNCS. Across the 12 games, these guys picked up 4 victory royales, and they hold height in an absolutely textbook way, so let's dive into that. Firstly, just for super basic, height is when you're on the very highest layer of the moving zones in endgame. And this is powerful for many reasons. Firstly, because you use the least amount of materials to traverse the moving zones, you have a ton of angles on players to shoot down on, you have the best opportunities for healing, and you only need to worry about players below you, so you don't have to cover your left, right, and above, which you'll have to on low and mid ground layers. I like to categorize the art of playing high ground into 2 separate categories: claiming and maintaining. Claiming high ground does not start in the end game, it starts much earlier in the mid game, and in this game in particular, Zate, Saf and Stretch try to claim the high ground as early as the 3rd zone. You can see them take up a large amount of space horizontally here, with Zate and Saf building over onto another area, so they have 2 separate points of high ground. Later on in the game, when the 4th zone appears, they're not actually inside of this zone, so they wait late until other players have already built up there, and then they all shockwave over and claim the high ground there. The only reason that these guys get to the highest layer in 4th is because they'd already set themselves up on a higher layer in the 3rd zone. This allows them simply to just shockwave over and claim it. From here on out, our team's goals switch up from claiming high ground to maintaining it. Really, they're not looking for a huge amount of eliminations here. Their main goal is just to ensure they are the only ones on height. They do this by shooting at other players who have built up in other areas of the zone to around equal levels of them, and also by looking down, looking at players who are 1 or 2 layers below them, and pressuring these guys to make it seem like there's no chance that they're going to claim height over Zate, Saf, and Stretch. You can see that the 5th zone is almost max distance from where they are now, so this is where Zate, Saf, and Stretch are going to need to start claiming the high ground again. Zate hits a beautiful snipe on one of the opposing players at the opposite height, so this is an immediate flag that our team should now just go and grab that height, because these guys are going to be on the defensive, trying to pick up the res on this teammate, and aren't going to be focusing on maintaining that high ground. What Zate does is he actually shockwaves over to another layer of builds and then builds out into the zone to create a different area of high ground. Then, once this is solidified, Saf and Stretch both then come over onto this high ground, and then Zate actually goes over to the other layer of high ground where he sniped the player and builds up here. This is exactly the same thing we saw in the 3rd zone, where they've claimed 2 separate layers of high ground. They do this because they give absolute
Their main objective, you may say, is of course get Mongrel back, reboot him back from the reboot ban, but it goes beyond just having him back. He is their ultimate closer. He has the most elims in this grand final. He is such a dangerous player, and together as a trio, you've been seeing the results, and that is why they're on top of the board here with 186 points going into this match.
And one of the key things they're doing right now, knowing they already have the 2 eliminations, and also compared to every other game, this is so much of a sparser game. 78 players, 77 players remaining, when before in these situations we've seen upwards of 91. They're hanging out in the side of the zone. They know there's more than enough bandages, more than enough med kits. They have a bandage bazooka as well. They're just trying to hang out and wait for this reboot van, knowing that the priority is, if they have the card, getting Mongrel back on his feet. It is the only thing that matters, because their potential for picking up points goes up so incredibly high. And here comes the play. And notice how they waited until the zone was pulling too, so everyone else left. They have excess white heals. They're going to try and get as much through. This is an incredibly intelligent play, because if they had gone and done the reboot beforehand, the other teams who are still there, who are still hanging out, or waiting for this top trio to leave, would have heard that sound and effectively would have been a dinner bell.
This is the ultimate mental check. Every champion goes through adversity. That's what makes you a champion. Like Dwayne Wade said, that 3-time NBA champion. Fall 7 times, get up 8. So it's now in time for Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson to stand back up and let the EU region know, yeah, you could send out your tweets, you could come and contest, but the ultimate tweet that's going to echo in eternity is that screenshot of you being on top of the leaderboard, saying that you are the FNCS Trios champion. And that is what's on the line for this trio.
And a good job. We talked about it. Hey, they might not be getting out of here with all the spoils, but they got 2 points. They're not going to be under threat of the initial storm surge, and Mongrel is on his feet. That's all that matters. Yes, the white HP is going to be a little wanting. Yes, they're going to be lacking on shields, but because of the bandage cannon and because they're doing such a late rotation, there's going to be a minimal amount of pressure on them here. So this is realistically going to allow them coast to at least a little bit of a safer endgame. And if you don't completely wipe them out, it's not good enough.
It kind of reminds me of the World Series here in the 2020 over here in the States. I know this is an EU region broadcast. In that World Series, the Dodgers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, went on to win the whole thing. They were mostly known as a home run hitting team, but then they started playing small ball, going for singles, doubles, triples to accrue their runs. So now it's going to be a small ball game for Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson. They cannot go for that big home run with that big old, according to Twitter now, Starks equals victory royale. It's not going to be that simple for them, but like I said, a champion's ride is going to go through some troubles. Now a champion going through troubles is Benji, Lecce, and Savage, who have not yet to kind of hold on to their day in day 2, but it could happen right here. Benji with a big time 200 back to back, and now they know Benji's here to fight, and Benji's able to clutch it up solo style, but man, clutching up this early in the game all the way to end game, that's going to be a huge story to tell for Benji.
That is a huge ask, but if anybody can step up to that plate, it's him, and he's going to get the pick, know he's clear of Storm Surge, and then just get out of dodge, knowing that rotating past him would have taken him past Andelix, Squeeze, and Janice there. So instead, going to move towards the north side, try and find the little bit of a more sparse, a little bit of a safer rotation, finds a big pot in there as well. So his loadout not looking awful, and he's got plenty of excess utility. So, I mean, he's set up for, and that was it just 2 slurpfish hanging around there?
Hey, I mean, sometimes you just walk around and you vulture your way and you get some nice loot. Sometimes, you know, Lady Luck is on your side. And now that's what's going to be required for Benji. As you can see, there's a dangerous trio looming in the distance. This is their second place team in the grand finals. Is Analexianus and Xweez still really super behind here. We're talking about 40 plus points behind our first place of Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson. And you know, their work that they did, they conditioned this leaderboard sundown, and all they have to do, you mentioned it time and time again, is just be on your feet, rack up those placement points. You already are going to be safe because you don't have to deal with Storm Surge, because you did have a very contested drop, as we saw there for that brief moment. And now, you know what? still feeling good. It's still another ball to the chest for them.
also looking for his own room. Can either of them solo clutch up against the trio on high ground? That's been the theme of Europe, and here we go.
And Thomas gets another elim. Thomas has the ability to do it. With 9 elims, it is a possibility.
Hands
2
on height.
solo players. Oh my goodness, hands on height. The trio is now between the sandwich right now of Thomas HD and Hen. Hen is raining down some fire, and they're going to go down into the arms of Thomas HD. Hen and Thomas pick up elims. No build for Hen. This is an opportunity. An opportunity. Yes.
What a
Hen
play.
clutches up and gets Thomas HD and Munch. Oh my goodness. Hen, what a way to close this out, and Sundown is speechless.
And that was sick. We've talked about how good he is, how him and Thomas are the fulcrum. Well, the two of the best individual clutchers in the final moments there, going back to back, punch for punch, shot for shot, elimination for elimination, but in the end, Hen walks away, and that's now twice in a row. We've seen the 15th place team rocket themselves up the leaderboard with a victory royale.
And that's all you want, man. That's all you want is a chance, is an opportunity to represent your trio. We are getting close to the end, and we are going to need a monster breakdown and a leaderboard check from Zeke, Shao, and Reese. Analyst S, what you got for us?
Bro. Day 2 of EU. Y'all bringing the heat right now. Oh my gosh. I'm just shocked. Like,
Bringing the hype.
Bringing the hype. Hen, first of all, I love that Sundown specifically yelled out the moment that Hen took this game into his hands. He literally goes for hype. He drops a person that's chilling in the circle safe, and he just holds there for a moment. The minute he picks up the siphon, he's like, okay, no one else. I've got the lay of the land. I'm just going for it. You'll love to see it. Now, we have to take a look at the overall standings because the story is still Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson. I don't know how they're doing this, how they're pulling this off, but look at this lead.
It's a lead that's shortening every single game based on what we're seeing over and over. This game, 21st place, they had 6 elims, so they made it work, and we'll break down how and why in just a moment. But look at some of the new names on this page. Flick, Anas, Thomas HD, 4th place, 45 elims, a victory royale, and 121 points.
And how does this sound for Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD? Last game, 15 elims, victory royale. Now, 3rd with 13 eliminations. So they've just, I think they've tripled their points in 2 games coming up, and they've jumped up the leaderboard to 4th. And now look, only 3 points away from Kinzel, Wolfie, CRR in 3rd. So they're almost jumping up again into 3rd place from this play.
And on your kind of whiteboard, it says hype. It's for me just shock. And for these guys, the word is hunger. They want to get that top spot. They're climbing from the depths, the pits of these leaderboards. Right behind them, too, look now. And Decipto's Putrick in 7th place. They were in the top 15 before. Benji Savage lets you have to fall because some trios need to be moved down as others move up. Floki, Clement, and Nakos are still here, though, in 8th, trying to survive with all this chaos and pandemonium going on around them in EU.
Usually we talk about this 6th to 10th page, and we're like, hey, you know what? Some of these names are the same. We're just seeing kind of consistent gameplay, and it's changing around every now and then. But this is just, it's all over the place. Teams are having huge pop-off games. They're moving left, right, and center, and this is the kind of excitement we really want from a grand finals.
I mean, it's just ridiculous to think that Mongrel, Mitchell, and Tayson are, like, slowly, like, climbing this mountain. And every single game, there's a new trio that is grabbing onto their packs and saying, no, not yet. Can they close this gap? We only have 3 games left. With performances like this, it can literally happen in the last game. Like, it's crazy to think as well, they swapped up their drop spots 2 games ago, and this is the result. These are the results we're seeing.
Yeah, and we were shocked about... Oh, yeah, go for it, because this is Retail Row.
I know, Retail Row. We've looked at this. This has been absolute pandemonium over in Retail Row. There's 4 teams landing here now. Just for a memory check, there was no one landing there since Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD left. People saw it, and they decided, hey, let's all go there at once.
And there's 4 teams at Starks too. You just saw Metro and Mongrel trying to land, look up, and dip off. They go towards the garage, took a car to Retail Row after the fact, and there were more fights here for Stroky, Vidil, and Kylie in Retail Row.
So if you notice, this team for Strokey, Kylie, and Vadil were not one of the teams who landed here originally. So he had 4 teams that landed here, and then this is the team that landed in Lazy Lake. They said, hey, we need Storm Surge tags. Where is everyone? And apparently every single team has landed in Retail Row, so that's where they went to fight and get some Storm Surge tags.
After all the chaos in the early game and end game, it was pandemonium with Hen, a force of darkness on height, with a sick clutch, a trio in the midst with Thomas HD down below getting elims too. We have literally just the most 2 insane clutch players playing the end game, a trio that just got dismembered over there at the end portion of the game too. Hen with the beautiful timing and play to get up top, get the win. We would need like 6 different packages to break that game down on how many things changed and what ended up happening in this game of EU.
With so many games left, this is just going to keep happening, right? Starks, it's no longer free. Mongrel, Mitro, Tayson, what are you guys going to do? How are you going to respond? Thomas HD, are you guys going to keep the ball rolling? Is there going to be some other trio that shows up and says, look, we're putting our name in the ring. We want some of this action. Guys, this is everything I could have asked for and more out of the Heats. My biggest question is, can Mongrel, Mitra, and Tayson hold on? Can they keep the ball rolling?
I think they can, but it all started with Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD inspiring the whole region to just take a risk, take a chance, and go for different drops. I'm wondering what else is affected around the map.
In all honesty, I just want to see 8 teams land there now. That's what's the like. Surely that's the natural next step. We've seen 3, and then we've seen teams in Retail Row landed there. Let's just all go start for this next game. Let's give us a good package to something to talk about, something crazy.
The story is like insane, you know? It's like, okay, Thomas rallies the entire lobby. If Mongrel, Mitchell, and Tayson win, then they defeated the entire lobby trying to contest it. Otherwise, you're looking at Thomas HD's trio, and it's like they pulled off the unthinkable. It could go either way, Fortnite fam. And we're coming down here to the last handful of games. We gotta kick it back over to our casters. We gotta keep the action going, the momentum going forward. We hope you're enjoying all the action. For now, though, let's dip back onto the battle bus. We got Sundown and Sancho to take us in.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, as we've loaded on in, and this is match number 10 in total. We have 3 more to go today, and then we'll crown our FNCS Chapter 2 Season 4 European champions. They'll be walking away with the axe. You can already see decent amount of spread going on here. Some triangles over at Starks. There's definitely going to be a contention going on, but otherwise there's a decent spread of teams. However, it feels like there's a couple more people also lurking on those out route kind of paths just outside of Stark, as we're going to swing on over with our match 9 winners, Hen, Deceptos, and Patrick.
And what a great performance from Hen, the clutch factor that he has, coming 15th place going into that match, getting the clutch victory royale as a solo, got them to 7th place. That is going to be huge, and that is thousands of dollars of pop-off game potential right then and there. And we've been talking about it the entire time. We've been asking, when is Hen and Deceptos Patrick going to pop off? They had so many great pop-offs in heats. They kind of surprised everyone by strong performance. I believe in one of their heats or qualifiers, they had like 3 victory royales. They look super strong going into the grand finals. And unfortunately, it took them a while to get their footing here. And finally, what a big way to get that foot through the door here. And having an opportunity to at least get into the top 3 now, considering that if they get another pop-off game, Sundown, it's possible that they could get it right up in there really easy.
Yes, so far, the story of day 2 has been the fact Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson opened up big, and then all of a sudden, everyone had enough. They're like, why are we so scared of them? They haven't had fights this whole time. Let's go see what's going on. As actually, we're going to swing way away from Stark here. Mongrel and Tayson out in the middle of nowhere. So this is something I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. Having a secondary drop spot, having somewhere to go when you are contested, whether it's a scavenger route or being able to go game plan somewhere else. It looks like a call was made. However, that call might come to bite them in the heel as Tayson gets picked up by himself. Mongrel forced to rift away without a shotgun, no excess heals, just a shockwave, attack SMG, an AR, and a prayer that he doesn't draw any attention, as him and Metro are going to be forced out and into a really rough scavenger route.
This kind of reminds me of that Pikachu meme. It's like you post that you have the power of POI, and they're like, we have this uncontested, come and take it. And all of a sudden, when Trio starts showing up and contesting you, you got that Pikachu surprise play. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I wasn't expecting this. You gotta expect this. It is kind of what happens in most FNCS competitive play. When someone builds a big lead, the only way to slow them down is to contest, and it's to fight. As you're seeing in the feed, the Dual Media and Co. picking up a knock on Benji. So that is another contestant spot that we're seeing, that we're watching here. But the story is, can Mongo and Metro survive this mental test? We all know mechanically in game they know how to rock it, they know how to slay, they know how to box fight. But a big important factor in FNCS competitive is their mental.
The mental is what matters so incredibly much, but we've seen before that as long as Mongrel is on his feet, he's going to be capable. However, they were forced to rift out, and you saw the shakedown come through as well, so there's going to be absolutely no opportunity to get Tayson back here. He's going to be forced into a backseat coaching role. And now, again, Mongo is desperately looking for any form of shockwave before he gets caught into a fight. But Blaster Alpha and Nikov, the ones who got the elimination or Tayson, they see red in their eyes. They see that first place. And if you're not ready to defend yourself, you're going to go down quick. Mongo gets picked up, shakedown onto him. It's the one time he's been bullied so far. The last 3 games feel like they're getting to him a little bit now, as Metro shaking down, and he's going to be running away, trying to avoid going down here in 31st. But AR shots from both sides. Matzo Amplify and ADN on top of Ruins doing what they do best, looking for those AR tags. And it seems like 3 games in a row, Metro, Mongo, and Tayson. And you know what? He gave it up. He said, if I'm going down, I'm going down to the Train H boys over there in the Ruins. You took my other 2 teammates. We'll give 1 point over there. But that is tough. And again, hey, I'll say it one time. If you're in first place there, if you have the only spot with a vote, and then a team is able to win, or not win, but at least push into the top 3 twice in a row with double-digit eliminations, you better have a backup plan. All you need at this point from that top trio is 1 good game, and nobody else will be able to catch you. You need to keep a little bit of pressure. You cannot crumble in the final moments. And it seems like that might be that horror story from Season X, the MMB trio, where they dominated from wire to wire and then came up short in the final moments.
Oh, man, you just gave me goosebumps, man. It's like you're telling a spooky tale. We're all sitting around a campfire, and you're like, let me tell you the tale of what went down in Season X. So it just shows you that the
And they write a sequel, and will it be that bestseller? Because coming into the match, they are the ones in striking distance. There's a number of other teams who are about 70 plus points out who could potentially do it. This team 40 points out. That's a solid victory royale to then be nose to nose with that top trio again. And if anybody is capable of doing it, it's Jonas, Duck on top, aka X Squeeze, and Andalax. aka X Squeeze and Andalax.
You're taking a look here as well in 5th spot. Flois and Dreda and Louis. They're another trio that have been having a very quiet day. And Dreda is one of the top slayers in the region and in the grand finals, doing really well, picking up double-digit elims so far. So that is another trio that we haven't seen a lot on the desk here on the broadcast, but no doubt they are actually making waves and baby steps their way up their leaderboard. Wolfie, CRR, Kenzel, we saw in the previous match that it was essentially up to Kenzel to kind of hold on as long as possible, and then he got taken out quickly on a rotation. So maybe that mental check, you see that trio that I mentioned, Flois picking up some elims there in the feed. That team is still around. I mean, listen, it was looking like the Mongrel Mitro Tayson show. It looked like we were just all watching Mongrel stream from a secondary POV, but not so fast. The EU region has stepped up. They've taken the challenge. They hit the Giant in the jaw. Question is, does the Giant have enough time to get back up? And if the Giant does, I think one big game from Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson will put it all out of reach.
And the key thing is right now is, yes, while the entire leaderboard is squeezing up to them, we talked about it before. The fact that they opened up such a monstrous lead, they still have 3 victory royales. They're still, I think, in terms of even with those absolutely horrendous placements right there. And missed chug
my
splash.
goodness.
Speak of absolutely horrendous there. And again, sorry, don't mean to continue the train, but saw in the Elim feed, Hen actually ended up getting a knock on Janice.
Here we
so
go.
absolutely horrendous is turning into horrific. As we said, while they built up such a huge lead, the top teams, the top 3, and the one team who mattered, the French trio coming out of Sweaty Sands, hasn't been able to capitalize on that opportunity. They've stumbled. So that Hare, despite him dawdling, despite him going and grabbing some tea and maybe stopping over to help a neighbor with a fence or something, they're unable to close that gap right now, and again getting a little bit of harassment put onto them.
Taking a look here, the record for day 2 points in all regions was set, then matched in the last 2 games. It's just showing you when push comes to shove, when you only have a very limited opportunities, people would just play out of their minds, play out of their bodies, have what are you looking at? An extraterrestrial type performance, out of this world performance, and that is what we're watching unfold right in front of us in Hen and Deceptos and Patrick. Hen, he's one of those players that could heat up and microwave himself, and I think that confidence, those 2 major performances, and especially that clutch that Hen had in the previous, getting that victory royale, could be the thing that kind of catapults him, and that is another dangerous up-and-coming trio that is knocking on the front door, that top 5.
And Deceptos has been around forever as well, somebody who is very, very, very consistent, the player for Gamers Origin. And Patrick, as of late, has had some very incredible results as well for the solos. So it's been largely them getting their chemistry. But I'm going to put myself a little bit on blast here. They were my prediction during the Week 2 qualifier. But kind of when we talk about them, like with the analysts, I always call them a bargain Thomas HD trio. They have the same kind of clutch potential in the clutch duo between Hen and Deceptos. That's my analog for Thomas and Anas on their side. They're still a Become Legends player on either opportunity there, and they have some of the big moments and some of the huge solo results, but not quite necessarily there in the team modes. And there seems like right now they're pushing that level up a little bit more, but their issue has never been their ceiling, it's been their floor. You have to bring that skill floor and your placement floor up if you want to be able to contend seriously for a top 3. And while kind of right now, that amazing performance of last game is pushing them up into contention, they need to ride the momentum, which is something we've seen they're capable of doing.
Seeing in the feed that the trios, Floki, Clement, and Nakos, are having their momentum slowed down a bit, considering that they were in the top 3 and they're sliding down to 8. There's people moving up, and now we have trios moving down as Flois as well. That is our top 5. I already saw Indreda getting confirmed in the feed, so we've gotten some multiple volatile action happening in the top 10, and it's not over yet until the final bell has been rung, and we're still, this is game, essentially the last of the 3 here. We still have 2 more going in. This is the last moments, the last frames, and Cami, Raxo, and Altor are doing really well. They got a victory royale here today, and that's going to be a strong opportunity to at least stop the slide for the moment, because Hen and Anas and Thomas HD, that they just came out of nowhere, man. They just out of nowhere just heated up, and wow, man, that was just a crazy ride those past 2 games to see these trios that we've been hyping up the entire heats kind of perform here in grand finals to make us feel like, hey, at least we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and another trio who I ended up predicting and has been unable to take advantage of the opportunity so far today with only 35 points here. It's Floki, Comment, and Nakos. And I'm actually a little confused because I saw one of them get knocked and I thought confirmed early, but I guess not coming through there. Is Comment going to pick up another Elam on his side? This is something we see this trio do very often. They are not afraid to fight wall-to-wall and box-to-box. In the mid-game situation, they do so more often than any other trio in the region, and they're able to convert on that there, finding 2 eliminations in what feels like getting a footing in the game for the first time in a while.
And we are going to get a scary in-game again. We saw a scary one up in the northwest area, all aquatic, but now we have a mountainous terrain, Old Man Mountain. There's 2 of them, a crazy valley to go through with the river, and at the same time, a bridge that cannot be broken. That's going to be interesting to see how the in-game leaders navigate this treacherous in-game.
And we talk about the tale of Old Man Mountain. For those of you unfamiliar with competitive Fortnite, when you get into those endgame zones, the safe zones move completely outside of where the current one. It's called the moving circles, and it happens between zones 6 and 9. But the tale as old as time is Old Man Mountain will always claim his toll, and the change in verticality forces players to either burn utility, build up quickly, or just fall. And I reclaim always go back to the epic Mr. Savage Shadow Bomb clip that qualified him for the World Cup as the epitome of Old Man Mountain taking it. But right now, we're just going to see who's able to get some space as yet again, we talk about it, our second place trio unable to capitalize on the opportunity that is given, handed to them, literally handed to them on a golden platter, but they're not finding the placements and eliminations to make up for the fact that Mitro and Mongrel are getting stonewalled right now.
I can tell you who's taking advantage, though. That's Hen, Deceptos, and Patrick. Hen getting on the left side of that Elan feed on Wolfies. So we'll see if Kenzel Wolfies and CRR, if they are in shambles. Right now, Andalex and Xweez are in shambles. It's just a matter of look at it. Yeah, I mean, the builds are not there, and you were taking a look at the zone. It's going to be all between all that terrain. It's going to have a river in it. There's going to be multiple layers to navigate. It's just not looking good. They're going to desperately need looking for a refresh. Sundown.
This is one of the worst areas in the entire game for players to have these moving zones. The rapid change in verticality and how quickly every single direction, if you're looking down there, you can see the river on either side. That's a mountain, but it's a steep drop off no matter which way you go. So there's going to be no reprieve regardless of which direction those moving zones pull. And the half in, half out reveal, that's zone number 5, is going to play a big factor in determining who is able to dictate the pace of the end game. As you can see there, despite the knock coming through on Hen, that was another snipe. We've seen him putting in work with that weapon as well. So we kind of talk about the quote-unquote bargain Thomas HD. He says, hey, I could do it with a sniper as well. We saw him converting on Janice earlier. The knock on the Wolfie's not getting ticked over, but we get a lay of the land, and we kind of get an idea of where that 4th zone is going to be as everyone is pulling towards the mountain there on that east side.
And I'm going to tell you what my wife told me. Off-brand is just as good as the big brand, and the off-brand is rocking it at the moment, solidifying themselves with an opportunity to kind of sneak on away in a top 5 finish. And we are watching this action unfold as Florix gets taken down by Analyx. The number 2 trio doing their best as they do to hold on, and that could be that refresh, that frag that they need to desperately, if they can find any kind of mobility just beyond this crash pad, they're looking good. Taking a look at their builds, not looking solid right now, but they're going to kind of hold on tight together, and there's the rest of that trio down below. They're kind of squeezed in between the two as Florix does get picked up, so they're not going to be able to take advantage or find any of that reprieval loot that they were looking for there, Sundown.
Which is really, really what they feel like they need. You can tell, oh no, did they just lose the shockwave? They left the shockwave on top of the cone and through the wall replace. Wow. It fell. That's disastrous. That is awful game management right there from McSqueeze. And we talk about in the moments when you have to do everything right, losing your one utility, your one vertical and horizontal utility tool in such a tremendous moving zone area with huge changes in verticality is going to end up spelling potential disaster for them. However, the disaster going to be averted for now as the 5th zone lands smack on top of their head, and it's going to come down to whether or not they can win this fight against the team that spitefully stole that shockwave away.
They have 6 splashes. They have peppermints to kind of make a crazy rotation. This is our 2nd place team who have yet to capitalize on Mongrel sitting in 1st place. They're getting a nice tag there. Yes, the Swedes go ahead and confirm that, so it's going to slowly, surely there. Look how close. Look at this right-hand peak. Look at it. They're just holding on for dear life, and another knock. Wow, on Norwood. So that's big. That's huge. They were in shambles, and that might be all that they needed, Sundown.
I didn't see him able to get a shockwave, but he is able to snag away a shotgun upgrade there. You can see Clement and Co. all the way down on the low ground. Utter shambles in terms of HP, but they got the elims that they're so well known for. The question is, 6 elims, plenty of excess utility, but can they make this rotation up the side of the mountain? There's the Gorgeous Gorge bridge they're trying to make up now. Floki will get the conversion onto Jaspe a little late to get some bonus siphon onto him. Good job coning their head in, but they're coming in the absolute low ground, which is such a risky area. This is a trio, again, we talked about it. They've been banking on consistency points, but running into a tough time. Now building with hard mats. 18 trios remaining. One more will go down, and the placement points will start. And the 2nd versus the 4th team on the walls of each other right now, and Andalex is going to hastily retreat, saying, not now, not outside of placement points. Be safe.
We took a look at 4th place, and now it's on 3rd place right here. Kenzel again for the 2nd game back-to-back, riding solo dolo. He has some shockwaves if he gets into some dangerous situations, has some decent amount of builds, but it is the lack of power weapons that's going to hurt Kenzel. No doubt Kenzel is going to do his best to kind of emulate his DreamHack championship. The back-to-back champion now is back-to-back solo. He does get priority of zone, but I just don't think he's going to have the ability to hold on as much as possible. A trio could easily overcome them. Yes, you got one player, but with that blue power pump, it's not going to be enough at all. You're going to get traded out so easily. But hey, Kenzel, all you got to do is stay alive. Just get to placements, and you'll be able to get closer and closer and get away from Flickanos and Thomas HT, who are right behind you.
And he was trying to bait somebody dropping down into that box, knowing he had priority position on the zone. But it's got to feel bad if you're CR and Wolfies. That's 2 games in a row. They pulled that priority there in that first moving zone, but everyone has been down, and they're not able to capitalize. It would have been a great opportunity to climb up the board, but the story so far has been the inability to get the key points you need. Get to pick there, but that's only one more, as still 18 trios are on their feet. We're going to wait for the replay to catch up here in a second as Kinzo gets dropped all the way down, but let's take a look at height and an unfamiliar name up there for the first time as Skype, Yaxu, and Falconly are going to force Anas, Flick, and Thomas HD down. We're going to go down all the way to the water to Kinzo, doing his best Dolphin impression right now, trying to find some shots on the side as placement points begin to tick over. 16 trios remain. Nikov getting a knock onto Robabs there. Kinzo eats a huge shot with his teeth there, 35 HP. Will he result to the shockwave? Will he use it and position himself correctly? You hear the chug splashes go out on the wall, out of dodge, and gets snapped right away.
Unbelievable. Sweeze is still alive, though. Sweeze has an opportunity just to get a little bit of points, but it's going to really hurt because, look, he's at the very bottom, and he has to go up this elevation, and the trade hard trio of Falconry, Yasso, and Skype are looking to have the opportunity now to add some points to their leaderboard and be able to get up more. These are thousands and thousands of dollars victory royale here that's up for grabs. Now let's take a look here at some other trios. Now we got Nikov, all with his trio of mates, looking very strong, but the story here is Andalex and Sweeze, who are still in this. Look at them in shambles on the low ground as Nikov picks up an Elim. That trio is fighting at full force. And now look at your left side here. The storm is going up and up Old Man Mountain.
Old Man Mountain claiming his toll, first in utility, then in builds, then in your tournament, potentially. ending right there. You can see still 2 games after this, but a huge pickoff from Nikov in the storm. This is what we talked about. You got to get the pickups, and then you got to find a way around the mountain. The bandage cannon will bind him sometime, but right now, Duck on top goes down, and if you have to capitalize, if you're Andalex, and into the box and Deceptos he goes, gets a much-needed siphon, has some minis as well, but needs some space. Plenty of builds in a second pickup right away there by Andalex. That was massive, and Nikov finds some room as well. The individual plays continuing here, Sancho.
Hen picks up an Elim as well. Now it's about solo stars on the top and right of the screen. Nikov and Analix doing all they can to back their trio through. On your left side, you're seeing Train Hard trio is being contested by Nakos for the brief moment here. That is going to be something to watch. And look at the very bottom of that left side. It is Become Legends Hen with another clutch performance as Altor and Raxo go for height against Train Hard. And there it is, a nice opportunity to hold on to. But the story is our second place team on your bottom right, Andalex, doing all that he can to hold on and trying to close the gap. Nikov had a great performance, but look at this build up on height. Oh my goodness. And down below it's Matzo and ADN, and they have an opportunity, and all they have to do is chop this down. And Raxo, oh my goodness, that was scary.
He was able to hit the bouncer to give himself some of the fall damage immunity, now ignoring Skype all the way up on the high ground as Kami is still up there, and he's going to be able to take it. And it looks like Gamma Gaming, Kami, and Roxo looking for victory number 2 on the day here as they have a 2v2 against the low ground duo right now. And you can see them trying to get the mats in the correct spot. Roscoe is the one who's going to stay up on the high ground. No, as I say that, he drops the flopper, which indicates he's going to go down. Kami's going to stay up. Nope, they swap it again as Roscoe is the one with the HP lead. So Kami's going to go hunting. Roscoe's going to play for the heal off, hoping that he can get an angle. He has small fries found there as well. So ADN and Matzo are going to try to
Kami!
Excuse me, Kami, you okay there? But he's going to be more than fine knowing that Roscoe is going to pop a flop in the zone. As long as there's no bandage cannon in play, he'll be the one to walk away with the victory. And as Matzo ticks over to the 9th zone there, Roscoe, Artur, and Gamma Kami pick up their second victory royale.
With 9 limbs, and it comes on down to the smallest of fries. 2 games left. Let's get a breakdown and a leaderboard check from the analyst desk. Zeke, Shio, and Reese, what you got for us?
Welcome back to the analyst desk. We got our boy Shio right here. This is him, Shio. Just kidding. Yo, this is just like, there's so much going on. My mental fortitude right now is about a big 0 because of everything transpiring from drop spots to end game. It's all happening so quickly. We have to take a look at the standings. Mongrel, Metro, Tayson, the Titans that had pulled away. They've been shut down 2 games in a row. And now the standings are closing. These gaps are closing. Look at the point difference now.
Wow, 192 to 173. Frozen in time in first place, like you mentioned, Zeke. Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson now actually have a closer race they have to finish in these next 2 games.
And we know Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson these last 3 games have struggled a little bit. They've only managed to get 6 points total over the last 3 games. Before that, in their first 6, their average was 28 points a game. So obviously they're really struggling now that they're being contested. So we're going to have to take a deep dive into that in our package to see exactly what's going on.
And Lex, that last game was doing so well. Past that, 2 Raxo came in, Artur getting that win. A very confusing win that went down to the last moment, last wire. 2 victory royales for those guys. This next game will be so close, even on this page, 120 to 94. That is a difference of just a victory royale. If any of these teams win, they can do exactly what Raxo did that last game and just get up into that top 5.
Yeah, you know, Raxo moving up into the top 3 should be kind of motivation for some of these guys, 6th to 10th. You know, the tournament's not over. Even if they're 6th to 10th, their placements are still very, very good, and this is still a very solid performance. However, these guys should know that they need a big game to get up there into that bigger prize money.
Guys, I'm so worried. We're going to break down specifically what has transpired here with Mongrel, Mitchell, and Tayson. But something has shaken them, and that is Thomas HD. And now they're reeling right now. They're on the back foot. They need to go into preservation mode, right? I get that they feel they don't have Starks anymore, but what they're doing and what they did in this game isn't the play. So please, break down what exactly happened and how they can hope to correct this, because they still have a lead. They can still do it, but it needs to happen right here, right now.
Yeah, the dust settled a little bit. They went into preservation mode, I would say, last game. Their mental going through kind of like a hyperbolic time chamber. They've chosen to go sweaty sands. I mean, Reese, what happened over here?
So look, this looks like a very weird drop for them. They're splitting. Metro's landed in the grass. It's odd, no loot, but you got to understand the context behind what was actually happening. You know, so many teams were coming Stark that they said, okay, we need to go and land somewhere else, and they know that Sweaty Sands was uncontested. Flying in, their drops were not that good at all, and if they'd landed, the chances of them being eliminated by Andalex's team off spawn was very high. Not too sure what was going on to Metro there. However, they go down and they had to back out from that instead of contesting off spawn in hopes that they would actually be able to get any eliminations.
And this was the reason why Anas, Thomas HD, and Flake being able to get Starks uncontested, looking good, but that endgame was just way too chaotic. This is a low ground trio, and there was a mountain in the way of that low ground. So it was very, very difficult for these guys to be able to get into that clutch mode. Very difficult to go low first and then shockwave for high. A shockwave actually separated the whole trio. They ended up going down fast.
And that's what we see very commonly about these trios who try to use kind of their mobility in the early moving, say that first moving zone. A lot of the times they try to use their mobility like the shockwaves or the crash pads, and it's so unreliable because it's really good solo mobility rather than trio mobility. So these players get split up, and then it just becomes a solo game and they get picked off individually at that point. And obviously our victory royale there by Raxo, Kami, and Artor going down to a big heal off. Great job splitting all of those white heals to Raxo at this point and picked up the big victory royale.
And Raxo had the best position too after that ultimate height build fight that we saw just the zone before. He actually went all the way towards the back, was the last person to land, so he had the most info. He knew the best places to hide while healing, and he got the heals at the last second too. So very good from him there in his trio. They're now in third place. We'll see what ends up happening, and if anyone else in the top 10 can boost up and over.
And for Raxo and his trio, they already doubled their points. They came into day one with only 41. Now think about that. They've earned 100 points, and now they're in top 3. That's fantastic. If they don't even make it to first, just being able to say at the end of the day, I made top 3 after coming in with a performance of day 1 like it was, that's going to be incredible. That's so much prize money, so much recognition. But now the question becomes, with 2 games left, what can Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson do? I'm very concerned that Genis is going to take this away, right? His trio is only 20 points behind. This is striking distance. They can do this.
They can, but I feel like Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson have had that breather. They've taken 2 games. They'll be back hopefully at Starks or somewhere where they look confident.
Yeah, they've made the mistakes already. These guys are now going to go, we tried this, that didn't work. We tried this, that didn't work. Let's get back to our bread and butter Stark Industries.
Bro, they have to. They got to run it back. They have the pieces. They just need to reset themselves, center back up, and aim towards the end of the last 2 games. Fortnite fam, 2 games left. Who will be the FNCS champion? We're going back into game. Let's do this.
Thank you so much, Zeke. 2 games left, and all is semi up for grabs here. We're seeing some great performances. The pop off is all coming down, and they're trying to catch up that huge lead that Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson built here in the first day. And a little bit of this one, I am Sancho West alongside Sundown, and it has been an amazing ride. And while I have this opportunity, I would like to thank everybody on the production side, Shayo, Reese, and of course Zeke. It has been an honor and it has been a privilege calling all the action. And man, just 2 more and that's it. It's over. A month's of work here, Sundown, all coming down to these 2 games.
Yeah, shout out to all of the observers, the directors,
Yes.
everyone behind the scenes who makes this all happen. But also, shout out to all the players for playing their absolute hearts out and making these last kind of games very, very, very interesting down to the wire. And then also, shout out to you, the viewers at home, all the boys and the girls, however you identify, however you are watching, whether it's Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, watch.fortnite.com, or in-game on Party Royale Island. Thank you so much for for joining us and letting us give these players an opportunity to show just how freaking good they are, as the action today has been bar none some of the best competitive Fortnite I've had the honor of casting. And right now we are on board here with our third place team, who has rocketed themselves up the leaderboard. 99 points today compared to their 42 yesterday. So far from Gamma Gaming, Cammy, Roscoe, and Artur.
Here it is. These are the slight moments here. Everyone always is focused on first place, as we see Benji Lecce just sitting outside the top 10 here. They have an opportunity. Who knows, man? They could pop off 2 games coming back to back. We've been seeing the pop-offs. We've all been waiting for Benji Lecce and Savage. These are the times that they tend to pop off, considering that they have slow starts. But could all those slow starts kind of catch up to them? I mean, it looks like it's appearing so.
And I mean, right now coming into this game, they were in 10th place. And looking at kind of how they've played the entire trios, I would say that's about representative of what they've done. And now we're going to hop back on board here. Here is that #1 team hitting their alternative route, saying we'll leave those 3 teams over there, and they're just on the western side, outside of the Lumberjam. You can see immediately they have a legendary AR onto Mongo. They're going to look to set up for an ambush, but at contact, they're just kind of backing off. Don't want to take too much of a risk. And it seems like, to me, there's a little bit of hesitancy around this alternative route. I'd be very interested to know how often these guys have practiced one of these alternative routes, as there are a bunch of other scavengers who kind of play this area. There's a couple of guaranteed henchman chests down here that make this not quite so much of a risk compared to some of the other scavenger routes, but also just ipso facto, because of where they are on the map, they're rotating right past Andalex and Co. up in Sweaty Sands.
And that will be interesting if they clash. That is first and second place. If they clash together, we know that throughout historically in these things, the scavenger team is not going to have the power advantage when it comes to a team landing at a POI, especially as powerful as Sweaty Sands. As my boy Aussie Antics stated, there has been a little bit of an upgrade with the trick-or-treat candy that's been around.
Yeah, but the trick-or-treat, all done for today. The candy's still there, but it's all serious business, as we've seen. Tayson, Mitra, and Mongo ran away with it. They were the freight train on day 1. Then matches 1 and 2 today, 5 and 6 overall, 17 points and then 38 points. They're averaging 25 plus points a game. Since then, they've only been able to scrounge up 6 total points, and those were all from the eliminations in another shambles game. So the second somebody stepped up to the table and said, hey, what do you got? Well, they got forced away, and now can they continue to just hold off the horde that is EU? And here is their #1 challenger, the one looking for the belt, to deny Mitro and Mongrel that signature victory, the trophy on the shelf, and its players who already have one.
I gotta say, though, to be real, yeah, Thomas HD, they're the one that stepped up for that brief moment, showed the chink in their armor, showed the weakness, showed that they had a weak spot. Yeah, I get that, but it was then like four other trios decided to all step up at the same time once they saw that the beast was vulnerable. To be fair, Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson, they worked really hard to build that lead. And, you know, I would guess the rest of the EU region is probably kicking themselves knowing that they could have had those opportunities earlier on. But when you second guess yourself, it's just like when you cross the road, like in those old school games, you know, you gotta be no hesitation. You just gotta get it. You know what I mean? And that hesitation may have cost a lot of trios opportunity to walk away with the FNCS Trios Championship. And at the end of the day, a lot of money is going to be rewarded and the Acts of Champions.
Look at the bottom right of the map. Look at the bottom of the map right now. Oh, he saw the pings. Oh, that's so unfortunate. So, Micho, Mongo, and Tayson, those are the yellow triangles in the bottom right-hand corner there. It might be a little bit difficult to see for some of our mobile users out there as well. health. Enough is able to find a good shot there, but it's only enough of a reprieve to pop his big shield, which to me shows how nervous he is. He's not confident enough to get the siphon. He doesn't want to go down here knowing that Flick has no excess shields. He's going to be the one to make the play. He's the one with that epic pump shotgun. He has the ability to hit those big 200 damage pumps, and he needs to make something happen, especially with only the 4 builds. You can see that under the 1 there on the Elim counter, so it's going to be a quick little ambush shot. However, each one of these players, minus Vidil, is in a relatively healthy range. Now you can see we're going to rotate back over to another team in contention. It's Wolfie, CRR, and Kinzel.
It's so dangerous. We've already seen Kinzel be back-to-back solos all by himself. It was up to, him to kind of hold on to placement points and unable to do that. Wolfies and CRR have already gone down twice. They cannot afford. The slide has already begun. They were in top 3 for the longest time. They worked really hard to get there with a phenomenal day 1 performance. Their day 2 was getting just as good, and unfortunately they hit, like you mentioned before, a stone wall. But Kinzel, the back-to-back DreamHack champion, I just like to say that because that is an unbelievable feat in itself. Wrangle in the other solo stars, the CRR Wolfies. They've been cementing themselves as a strong trio, and now we're just seeing the inconsistencies kind of show its ugly head at the most inopportune time, considering there's only 2 games left, including this one. We're getting closer and closer to the end game. I think, actually, to quote that famous doctor, it's the end game now, Sundown. We're in the end game now.
And the end game for this game is what's going to matter, but keeping an eye on the top left, Tayson gets a knock onto Gianza. If they're able to convert onto that and just staying in the lobby is what's most important. But we've also saw in kind of that match number 9 situation, you can't draw too much attention to yourselves. You have honestly quite larger than a target on your back. It is a missile silo. It's a huge red X that everyone is looking for and trying to figure out where you are. You can even see Jonas, Duck on top, and Deluxe marking some spots here. But currently, our number 2 ranked team, the only one who can realistically catch Mitro, Mongo, and Tayson, they're below that Storm Surge threshold, and right now they're starting to take shots from the Rift. They're trying to get on the opposite side of this, but they're going to be very heavily split out. They're the orange triangles there, and they're being cut off on that rotation by Mitro, Mongo, and Tayson. Squeeze takes a ton of damage. Duck on top, down to just 20 HP. Janice desperately trying to find room to pop some of those mini pots, and the pressure's coming. Storm Surge is also coming. There's another team on their back, but Nems gets picked off. Sometimes all it takes is a couple bullets thrown in the right direction, and Nems going down there might have been that pivotal moment. The key thing, you're throwing a lifeline into the tournament, and it was Nems to push them above the Storm Surge. The 2 tags coming through. Andalex trying to snipe his teammates out with the bandage cannon, chucking slurp fishes. This is desperation defined from our 2nd place team right now. Mongrel and Co. finally getting the conversion onto their first elimination, but they cannot go down here. They have to make this rotation, and it seems like it's almost too early in the game for this pivotal of an opportunity. But looking back in the storm, it's Mongo and Mitro. They're the ones who got bogged down in the storm. They recognized that and got out of dodge. What a great rotation from Andalex, Janice, and Exqueeze to get out of there. And now Tayson, Mitro, and Mongo are in the same situation we talked about, desperately having to avoid. They're in the zone, and they're stuck. You can't all go down here. They have to find these elims and the siphons. There's no white heals. There's no campfires. They don't have a fishing rod to hit the double pool right there. As long as Doko doesn't give them the siphon, they're going to go down for what will be the 4th game here. Mitro gets a siphon ticked over. He's going to be on his feet. Tayson is down. The Elim will finally come through, but they have such a long run, and the 2 points isn't going to be enough, as we already saw the 2nd place team rotate ahead of them.
This is the intensity that we're witnessing right here. The tournament is at stake on this rotation. Tayson, Mitro, and Mongrel, who have had a huge lead, now only sit with easily a victory royale from Andalexianis and Exqueeze, could take that lead away, and Tayson, their in-game leader, is down. It's all up to Mongo and Mitro to hold on, and at the other side of this rotation is this, and they're being gatekept. This is an opportunity to be sighting out as well. Giannis is in trouble, only down to 1 mini. Oh my goodness, Sundown, as Mitro gets knocked as well.
Yeah, Mitro going down on the side. X squeeze knocked. Andalex
Uh-oh.
knocked. Janice, if there was ever a time for heroics,
No!
it's now. And Lenouf said, we're going to close the door for them. It's going to come down to the final match with an 18-point lead on second place. All of a sudden now, the teams 3rd through 8th. You know what, Sancho? You smell that? Smells like an opportunity. You know
Yes.
what? Meat's back on the menu, boys, as the top 2 teams fall outside of the placement points. And now, for what feels like the first time in a while, the European horde can raise its head. They can kick open that door and announce their presence going into the final match.
Absolutely, for the first time in forever, we might see someone new, and I'm so excited that it's literally going to come down to Game 12. Now we're seeing Wolfie, CRR, Kenzel. They have an opportunity to make things interesting. If they have a pop-off game in the Victory Royale, you're just seeing Mongrel there finally getting through, picking up an elim. That's going to be nice. It's going to be that, hey, it could all come down to one elim point, one placement point. We already saw in the heats it came down to one shot from qualifying into the top 8 to get into the grand finals. We're talking about an entire month of FNCS competitive play all coming down to these last moments in the last game. Everything's going to matter. Every gatekeeping stance matter. And it's going to be a big time finish here, ladies and gentlemen, folks of all ages. And Kenzel goes down, but Hen also gets knocked by CRR. Oh no, Hen is now the big time clutch player, and he goes down.
How is Kenzel getting knocked there? CRR has a total angle on 3 different teams rotating through the zone. Kenzel off by himself. CRR finding another knock there. They needed to be together in this circumstance. This was an opportunity. CRR by himself converts into 3 eliminations, but at the cost of the 2-time DreamHack champion going down. Savage will pick up the Siptos and end the run there. So while Hen was fantastic on that individual run, we talked about them needing to pick up that floor if they wanted to stay in that top 5 contention, and going to drop again here. When you get one moment, one opportunity to seize it, will you? And right now it looks like he's got mom spaghetti everywhere. As we're going to swing on over, you can see ADN Amplify on the side there with Matzo, Chapix, Queasy trying to find a little bit of space as well. That 4th zone is revealed, and we're heading in towards the lake, towards Retail Row, excuse me now, with a little bit of zip line in play, but otherwise pretty natural finish.
And we're going to find out whose knees are weak at this moment, considering that, look at this. Old Man Mountain. There's a couple of them out there that can kind of go ahead and chop anyone down that's going to try to make their ride up their leaderboard here. You already mentioned 1 and 2 is out. Our Tor, Cami, and Raxo had a strong opportunity and got the victory out to put them in that 3rd place. Here is another trio, Floki, Clement, Nakos, that are on a bit of a slide. They could do this. They could come around and get a victory out. And when we're going into Game 12, Sundown, we're going to Game 12 with about the top 5 all up for grabs and the number 1 spot. That's the kind of finish I want to see.
And while they're on a little bit of a slide, they've been putting it together better than their less consistent games yesterday. They're 3rd in terms of overall eliminations. What they're missing on today so far is that deep placement run with also combined eliminations. They've had one or they've had the other. If they can get both here, they're currently sitting in 7th. They can put themselves into that top 3 area in potential in contention for 1st. But there's a number of other trios who can also do that. As you see, Savage, Lechi, and Benji, another full trio wipe. That's 3 more points over to them. They were 10th place on that outside, looking in for the top 5 coming into this game. But as we said, 1 and 2 are down. If you're watching and you're wondering what we care about, it's those teams 3rd through 10th and whether or not they capitalize. And the French trio has prime positioning to do it right now.
And 4th place just fell. Wolfies and CRR eliminated out. So more shakeups are going to happen. The analyst desks are going to have a lot of work going forward here to take a look at the leaderboard, because so many teams are going to be able to slip and so many teams are going to be able to overcome them. And this is a trio right here, now down to a duo. Raxo, Kami, they get a nice one on Squeezy right then and there. Another big name going forward too. So Raxo, this is a prime opportunity for this Cohen company to kind of all of a sudden heat up, and they're trying to go on this rotation here on the other side here, but they're being greeted and met with some bullets. Now the retreat is on. They're going to go back into their old builds. This is what's so important about space control. The ability to have the retreat and not get lobby focus is going to keep this trio alive, and the opportunity to move up their leaderboard to kind of close the gap between second and third.
Yeah, EP Alexa, aka Enterprise Queasy there, going down in a good pickup. But you've seen that this trio was able to get their victory royales when they had everyone on their feet, and they had a decent amount of utility as well. So the fact that Artur has gone down is going to make this execution a little bit more difficult. But one thing I want to call out for Kami, he's got those fireflies going on. It's one of the few things in the game that can apply that fire effect to builds. If there's somebody who is building out towards wood or ends up getting too vulnerable there, they end up running out of mats. It can be a surprisingly effective tool in the late game. But right now, we see Leneuf getting a confirmation there onto Flick. Eyedrop also going to down Floki. Nako's going down, so all going to be on the back of Clement. Otherwise, the top French trio going to fall short of placement points again. And Cammy finds the angle with a brilliant crash pad. Floor replace, finds Thomas HD sticking his head out there. The 190 tag, enough to tip him over the top. And that's some top of the leaderboard crime right there.
First, second, fourth, and fifth are now most likely out completely, including that knock and Elam from on against Thomas HD. Now Clement here all by himself in the 7th place trio, now going to ride in the backpack phase now. And we've seen the clutches, we've seen the Lone Rangers, we've seen the Heroics come out through the EU region, and Lunef gets knocked by a Nas. I was about to say, Nuff and Jasper are getting some big knocks at the same time as the big names of Benji. The old guard is trying to hold on tight and not let the new guard kind of come out of nowhere and take the titles.
And now we're into placement points as well. 17 trios remaining. The full moving zones are out. This is match number 11 in total. We'll have one more after this, but can any of these trios, missing members, clutch up as first on board here with Clement? He's got a pepper pop, but can it turn into plentiful points? That's Rojo, aka Smash Dave, the wildcard victor, going down there. Some key mats going over to Clement, and that's one more point, but no additional placements coming through as Lecce gonna pick up AD, and Clement checks his 6, but no bogeys there. Gonna continue, try to get his HP up and riding right on the edge of the storm. The backside of the zone is where you're gonna find excess utility and the most opportunity for these solo plays, trying to find people just stuck and ratting in the corner. And Clement now tracking through these old builds, looking for his next target, as we're going to get a pad and see what the control looks like, as I believe it's Vadil and Frostroki up on the high ground. We're going to swing back on board here with Clement, and he's going to go down 16th place. One extra placement point coming through, but they're beginning to drop like flies as Anas gets Nate as well. That was Karma who's able to pick up Clement, and the trios are beginning to tick over as we have a new name up on hype.
New names in the zone is going to go back into old builds. So that's going to be a little bit of opportunity, more box fighting, more chaos down below. And of course, height is going to have the ability to maintain a little bit longer. They're not going to be able to get the E-limbs because it's going to go through these old builds, but still, holding on to height is so strong because now we are in the placement points. Top 11 trios here alive, and Andretta, Lewis, and Flois are one of those top teams sitting at the top 5. They could totally make a move right here. They've been quietly doing it throughout the entire time, and this is a strong opportunity to do it with a loud statement going into the last game here. This is game 11. We still got one more, folks, and a Nos picks up an Elam on pink.
Yeah, Anas and Savage still on their feet, but right now, Flois, Louis, and Andrata running the low ground. No eliminations, but plenty of control in 6 chug splashes as well. They're going to find Karma there. That's M10 Sniper God getting taken down. You can see Remix still raining down shots from the high ground. They're going to be more than fine up there. No contestant necessarily coming out, but a late shockwave could be in play. We're going to hop on board. The 2-time and last match winner, Roscoe, looking for a little bit of space. He finds a huge shot. He needs the siphon, though. He has to get the siphon, and he doesn't get it. He goes down too late as the crash pad blocked his way out, and we talk about it. Sometimes it's the matter of moments, but pure seconds there denies Roscoe the opportunity to clutch up, as now we're going to hop on board with the World Cup Week 10 qualifier himself, or Week 9 qualifier, Andretta, who's doing it all himself on the low ground. First a 90 tag, finds a good replacement, then a 100 tag, second good replacement there. Snag, gonna fall to the storm. 13 players remaining as we head in towards our Tar 6. Steelix also gonna fall to the storm there. Once those conversions over, he should have top 5 and a little bit more room to work with.
Here it is, Andretta being the ultimate maverick right now. Ooh, with the big time hit. Let's go, Andretta, one of the top slayers in the grand finals for the EU, showing why he has been racking up, but now this is an opportunity to actually put in some big time points here in placement. It's a top 3 situation. We have the full trio. We have Benji and Savage here. It's a 2v3 now for these last moments here, going into game 11. Can Benji Savage, this will be big. This will give him the big opportunity, but they have to go up the mountain, and down goes Lecce here. The Remix and Co are holding on. They get down Benji as well. Sean Squint here. It's going to be a strong opportunity at game 11 finish. There it is. Remix and Co with the victory royale.
35 points coming across there, and that's their majority on the day, but it's gonna push them closer in contention to the money there. But going into the last match, we got to take a look at what the leaderboard looks like and what's up for grabs. Zeke and Co, take it away.
Gentlemen, thank you guys so much. You're on fire right now. These games are closer than ever. The standings will give us the perfect setup. We have a single game left to go. A championship is on the line. The FNCS winners will be determined in this next game. You guys, Shy, Reese, I'm going to let you guys set this up. Take a look at the points. Take a look at your top 5. Shy, kick us off.
Reese, I want you to just tell me the one line that'll say it all right now. What is it?
Well, I don't know what your one line you're thinking of, but I'm just going to let you know. Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson, if they go down, and Andalex, Janice, and X-Squeeze pick up 21 elims, they are going to take into first place. I don't know what line you're asking for, but I'm hyped because I want it.
This is the line. The top 3 is all that matters for the win right now. They're the only people who are close together in contention, looking at going forward. And like you just said, if Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson go down, it's a big game needed by Andalex. If Andalex's trios goes down, then Raxo, Kemi, and Artor, based off the kind of pop-off we saw last game from Raxo, almost there, able to survive, they can overtake and go all the way for first. It'll have to be a huge game, though. Past that, though, there is Andretta, Louis, and Flois in the top 5. That pop-off from Andretta that last game was crucial to get them on the first page. They might be able to overtake and get towards third, but at first, it's a 2-3 team game.
And something we didn't see there was actually Benji Fish's team really fly up. 17 eliminations in second. Something we didn't actually catch up too much on. However, it does move them up to 7th. They're not really in contention of getting up into that first place slot. They can, however, if they have another big game, take up and take 3rd, which would be a really, really big game for them. Lecce did tweet, we are going to drop a 20 bomb next game. Just a little bit shy of that. If they managed to win with the Victory Royale, they would have actually got that 20 bomb. So close attempt.
Very close. And Kinzel as well. Wolfies and CRR are holding on and fighting every single game, whether it's against a trio or against the zone. We'll have to see what will happen with all these teams and their relationships with each other.
And that's what you guys are going to set up for us here with these replays that you have pulled for us. Is going into this last game, we're looking at those top 3 trios. We're looking at who could possibly walk away a champion.
Absolutely, and it's Sweaty Sands once again that we go back to with Andalex, Janice, and we'll see the last teammate there as well, Tayson, who's landing. But there's something new going on, Reese.
We talked about this the game before, and I said that Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson need to go back to Stark Industries to contest, and they said, no, we are going to land in Sweaty Sands. They did that, they disengaged to the west, then they kind of wrapped south all the way around to this position you can see here, and they're just trying to rotate, but at the same time, they're trying to tag up Andalex's team as much as possible. This is a strategy that they need to do to ensure that they continue to go up. If Andalex's team has a poor game, then they are going to secure this first place game. So that's why they're deep in zone trying to fight at this point, but unfortunately, they overcommitted too much and went down. But because of this also, Janice, you can see 5 below Storm Surge. We watched this on the broadcast, ends up going down to Storm Surge.
And that's what we're talking about, right? The top 2 teams going down. They're actually putting themselves at risk to try to make it happen. And there's definitely a reality where both teams are in the game, fight each other, get no points at all, maybe 1 or 2 Elam points, and then it's all up to 3rd, maybe 4th place to make that jump, make that rise, and get the clutch victory royale.
I mean, could it be any simpler, right? Like, watch, Fortnite fam, as we're watching this game, you got to keep your eye on the top left elimination feed. If Mongrel, Metro, Tayson are wiped out, that means second place has the shot. If second place goes down, third place has a shot. It is a battle for the top 3 right now. But also, real quick, props to Andretta and his trio, jumping up to 5th before this final game. You know, again, it's not that one spot, but that's still going to make such waves, especially in your earnings, especially in your notoriety, to be able to say, look, whatever happened, we placed 5th. Very big hats off to this trio. Now, my biggest question will be, which trios come up here in the final game? This is it, the final shot. Because at the end of this, we're crowning an FNCS champion. They will hold the axe of champions. It is now or never. One final game.
It's one final game with first and second place fighting each other at the same drop.
Oh, I need to do it. I need to do it. I need to get the hype chart back off. It's off the charts. I need to bring the I'm on cloud 9 one back out. I'm over the moon. I have all these. I have, you know what? I've come prepared and I didn't even realize. Andalex, Janice, Egg Squeeze. I also have my Mongrel, Vitro, Tayson. They're going to fight off against each other. I'm so excited. Oh my lord.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that, Reese. Thank you. Man, I needed this laugh because I'm so tense. I'm so worried. My little baby heart can't take this pressure. We only have a single game left, and that will be it. Now, if you guys, you're looking for more action, you're like, man, I don't want this action to stop. Don't even worry. Stick around. We're going to be jumping into NA East. We'll have 6 games there. We're going to be catching up on other regions as well. The action today has been ridiculous, but this is it. We're jumping out of the battle bus one last time here in EU. At the end of this, there will be new champions. Sancho, Sundown. Let's do this one last time.
3 rounds of qualifiers, 4 heats, the historic wildcard match, and then 11 games so far. And it comes down to this one final moment. And despite only 8 points in their last 4 games, FaZe Mongrel, Liquid Metro, and E11 Tayson hold on to a 20-point advantage over the rest of the field. The question is, in this final opportunity, this final match, can Andalex, Janice, NX Squeeze, or Roscoe, Cammy, and Artur unseat what have been the undeniable kings of Europe so far? My name's Sundown, joined here by Sancho West, and we'll be bringing you the final game right here, right now, and we're going to kick it off where else but in Sweaty Sands, with 1 and 2 standing toe-to-toe, mouth-to-mouth in the ring at one of the strongest POIs, but not a vault in sight, just some good old-fashioned Fortnite.
May your builds be strong, may your shots be true, and may your journey end with the ultimate victory royale. But this is going to be a baby victory royale. This right here, this engagement going down in Sweaty Sands, it's going to determine the FNCS Trios Grand Championship. It's going to be crazy. At the same time, though, if 1 and 2 hurt each other so aggressively, that opens up the door for Raxo, Kami, and Artur to snake away that grand championship. It's all or nothing right here, the top 3. And I just like this, that it's just so crazy that the opening moments, the drop spot, could determine your fate.
But a key thing, and we saw it at the start of the game, zone pulled to this side. The onus to go and take the fight is on Andalex, Janice, and Duck on top. The MCES duo and the Wave player need to go and find them, because if Metro, Mongrel, and Tayson just slip into the middle of the zone and are guaranteed to get into this late game situation, that's it. That's done. You're not going to catch them by outplacing them. They've done incredibly well when they've made it into those mid and the late game situations. They need to go find them and not let them slide into this horde and disappear into the shadows and claim that #1 spot.
And we have seen that Mongrel and that trio love to kind of park themselves underneath that tower. We've seen it in the very openings of the grand finals. And Alexianis and Xwiz being right on top of Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson. They kind of neighbors in this fact. And you're right. That is why Giannis is so far out there. He's in the pawn. He's going to be as if like he's a scout, making sure that he's going to be the first person to be like, yo, Mongo is coming. Mongo is coming. Tayson and Mitro are coming. He's going to ring that bell for Andalex and Xwiz to stop looting. But look at this. The flopper plays. I like it.
They're trying to get as many fish as possible, knowing the victory round, the bonus 5 points, every single aspect matters. But just keeping an eye on the bottom right-hand corner, there's not a triangle in sight, when typically there's at least 1 or 2 other trios in this area who are doing scavenger routes. To me, that's trouble for this group. That means there is so much more room for Mongo, Mitro, and Tayson to just go find space and disappear. Because every second that they're not on the right side of that elimination feed, they have an opportunity to just stretch that lead. But the Dark Horse and the Surge, not a prediction in sight, but they say they don't care. Roscoe, Gamakami, and Artur have stormed up the leaderboards with 111 points just so far today, 153 total, and they're currently sitting in 3rd.
You gave me a lot of awesome high premium gas, and they're going to need that premium gas because they have a long trek as they're going to go coast to coast here, and it's so treacherous, it's so dangerous. A bad rotation, a gatekeeping stance from another strong trio. Again, the EU region, strong in trios. I mean, we saw those in the stats. The stats don't lie when it comes down to it. Numbers don't lie. There's a lot of strong people rocking these scavenger routes, rocking these secondary POIs, and if Artur, Raxor, and Kami kind of take this wrong route, that's the end of their run. That's the end of their chance to take that first place.
And again, every time a trio is eliminated in this match, that's it. It's over. It's done. Your run for this FNCS will have come to a conclusion, and you'll join everyone else as a spectator to see what happens in the final moments. And I'm not sure if intentional or not, potentially so, because destroying that, since you're the first one rotating through, denies the gas from anybody else coming behind you, which makes the rotation that much harder. Ideally, they would have fueled up beforehand if that was the play, but no damage taken over, so not a whole lot lost there, as we're going to hop on board with another team who is absolutely surging on the second day. Anas, Flick, and Thomas HD trying to remain in contention. They are our 4th place team, so a little bit out of really the contention range for first place, but if they are able to put it all together, they could potentially end up there. But right now, you see, every little play that matters can affect the overall scoring in the leaderboard, which also affects your prizing, Sancho. Still a bunch of money on the line.
Absolutely, thousands and thousands. And Nas, Flick, and Thomas HG going back to their old stomping grounds, already getting 3 elims total. And Verox's trio was landing here. They kind of claimed Dirty Dogs. Verox was known to be the staple of Dirty Dogs for the EU region. He always landed here at the very beginning of the chapter 2. And that's what pushed Thomas HD out until Retail Row. Eventually, after time and time again, after Mongols getting in his trio, getting victory royales, Thomas HD said enough, and we're going to go ahead and push Stark's Industry. And now, because they made that aggressive push, they made a huge jump on their leaderboard. Now, they having that confidence, they went down to Dirty Dogs here in this final game 12 and pushed out and eliminated fully Verox's trio. So that is the kind of ride that Thomas HT and Knots and Flick are having right now. And you're right, a victory royale, and if Artors and Co trio goes down, that means they will slide into that 3rd spot. And just behind them in 5th place, we already saw it's Indretta, Flois, and Louis. They had a strong finish in game 11 as well.
And there's going to be a little bit of a different pacing for this game. You can anticipate there not to be a storm surge right off of the bat, with already going down to 77 players even before that second zone has closed. That's because the aggression coming out from those with not really necessarily a horse in the race at this point. However, there's still plenty of people to be able to capitalize on those points, and this is one of those teams. You can see Louis Andretta and Fury Flois trying to find a little bit of room here. However, eyes on the bottom right-hand corner, there's 4 different colored triangles all getting together right now. And Andretta going to opt to box on over there. And I think one of those names, if I'm not mistaken, might have been Mongrel and Co. I'm going to need to see when we check back out on the wide. But the question is always going to be, where did they go? Because they did. They disappeared in the center of the zone. They said, as long as we hold on, we're good. And now, for them, rather than being in that Elim feed the entire time, they want to be silent. They want to get tags. They want to avoid that second storm surge, because that's going to be the best way to close out the game and get that staple trophy for Metro in Mongrel.
Seeing Wolfie, CRR, and Kenzel, who have had a very bad slide recently in these back halves of the finals here, that is going to be interesting to see if they could kind of stabilize. A lot of fans, a lot of people in the Fortnite fam have become big-time supporters here of Kenzel, Wolfies, and CRR, just a little bit more, considering that they all have really strong solo performances, and to see them combine almost late in the FNCS Trio season, combine together and do really well. But now it's interesting. That's usually Metro, Mongrel, and Datco right there, and Tayson in those whiplashes. There is a new people with that ultimate swag there, Sundown.
Yeah, but it's somebody who's familiar with the Mark 51s themselves there. As you can see, Gamma, Moraine, Lenouf, and Jaspe rotating a little bit ahead of them, but flicking on over. The fight, they're just underneath, and this is the position we've talked about before.
No.
It's the bottom of the hotel. It's getting into that upgrade bench. I don't want to say a hot take, but I don't know if this is the right call right here. Keep an eye on his number of materials. And with the zone closing, he just went from having about 90-plus builds opportunity down to 30. He's going to spend the rest of this time farming. Granted, the Epic Shotgun is so huge, but if I'm Mongrel right now, I don't ever even want to be firing that. I don't want to be anywhere close to in shotgun range with any other player. I don't want to have to be hitting these really loud and obnoxious metal and brick builds, because so far in the past 4 games, every single time my name has appeared somewhere else, somebody sees my skin, or anybody's even remotely close to me, it's a literal dinner bell where everyone is yelling, it's buffet time, and the shots end up come ringing in. When all you have to do is hold on. 20 points is a huge lead. Those builds are so valuable, but right now, still finding enough room. He's recouped about 50% of them, but still, it's tough, man. That's a tough decision, and we'll see if it ends up coming back to bite them.
Yeah, man, I kind of agree with you. I kind of want to see Analyx and Giannis and Squeeze kind of like determine what's going on. But you want to beat the trio, you got to beat the trio. And already I took a look at the feed. There's some action happening.
But you can see the top right-hand corner, they're 35 damage below Storm Surge right now. Granted, there's still 90 seconds to figure it out, but they're going to have to expose themselves for shots. You can see both Metro and Mongrel are busy farming right now. That's another thing that goes into it. They have to make up the mats from the upgrade. That's going to put the onus on Tayson to find those AR shots. Granted, he's very good at it, and the threshold isn't that high, but as we've seen in this final game, odds are good. People are going to play safe for those last kind of moments, and you can't rely on somebody else breaking the surge for you.
And the most scariest thing throughout the entire time, yes, Storm Surge, it's looming, it's ugly hat, but we're already going to have another finish here in the northwest side of things near Coral Castle. A lot of water we already saw cause so much chaos, and Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson were able to hold high easily, but that is when they had very strong loot going forward. We just saw Mongrel upgrade, using that upgrade bench, eating up a lot of material. So that was another kind of maybe a calculated risk that you have to make, knowing that maybe when it comes down to it, you walking away with one elim could be enough. But I kind of agree with you, Sundown, considering those kind of, mat resource extensive rotations into this deadly end game, you might want to hold on to anything that you could find and hold on to.
And for those who are unfamiliar with Storm Surge, as it could potentially become so key very quickly, it punishes the most passive players in the lobby when we are above a certain limit. So for zone number 3, aka in 14 or more seconds, the players who are below the threshold, as you can see currently sitting 26 below, will take 25 damage every 10 seconds. They have to find an AR shot here. The damage is going to start ticking through, and because they were on the scavenger route, they don't have the excess utility to necessarily get it. They're one damage below. This is possibly the most important AR
hitting.
tags of Mongrel's career right now. He has to find a target. The damage is coming through. Keep an eye on that shield bar. It's 25 every single time.
Oh,
down to 40,
there it is.
But he finds it. He
Wow.
gets the headshot. 39 damage above. 149 above now, and some rifle shots above. And we talk about every single shot, every interaction mattering. Sometimes it's a singular bullet, and FaZe Mongrel potentially secures the tournament right there by beating back Storm Surge and preventing that damage from giving the MCES duo and Janice an opportunity to yank it away.
Oh my goodness, the intensity. Just beaming, you're just hoping that they could hit it. All the Mongrel, Metro, Tayson fans out there, no doubt putting that energy right behind that energy beam, and it was holding on tight. And now look at this rotation. It's going to be so dangerous to make. You're going to have to go ahead and go all the way across the beach, all the way across this water, and already Andelix and Yanis and Xqueeze realize that, and they're gone. The question is, does Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson moving out? And we might have a clash on this rotation between number 1 and number 2. It could all go down in these moments right now. The Grand Championship is up for grabs on this treacherous aquatic rotation. Here we go, Sundown. It's about to happen.
And you can see, keeping an eye on that bottom right-hand corner, when we cut back, the green triangles are Metro, Mongrel, and Tayson. There's the one you want to pay attention to. Currently behind on the rotation. Now keeping an eye. Janice, Andelix, and Xqueeze. They're on the front of your screen right now. But now we're going to hop back on board. Outside, looking in. No excess utility. However, the team in front of them, who they're spraying, they're marking it right now. They're saying, pour the shots into them. That's second place. We can finish it right here, right now. But look at how many triangles are in between them and the finish. They're going to have to push their way through here, and there's not a bunch of real estate. And 1 and 2, wall to wall, Sancho. This is what we came here for.
We talked about being toe to toe. Who is going to be the big toe? As Thomas says, she is lighting up the feed, but the focus is right here, right now. The grand finals. We have 2, number 1 and number 2, being neighbors for this brief moment. And for somehow Metro, Mongrel, actually Andelix, they belted. They're gone. They went right below the waterfall, and that's going to be a brief moments to extend this match right now. But right on the heels on this rotation is Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson, and they have to stay alive as long as possible. We're not even near the placement points. 24 right now. It needs to be the 17th place. And some of the lobby focus is creeping in. They got to be careful when the bullets are going in.
That's them underneath. That's the MCS duo underneath them, putting pressure. Tayson, this could be it. They can't go down here. Tayson's down. Mongrel on 20 HP. Metro on 20 HP. And when it looked like they had it all boxed up, when they had the trophy already on the shelf, the chickens were counted before the eggs were hatched, and now it all comes crashing down. The door is wide open. Andelix, Janice, Xqueeze, aka Duck on top. They only got one of those eliminations, but the 1 point is now going to close the gap, and now the math begins. They were 20 points down to start. Can they find the 19 points to make the difference here? It's all going to come down to match number 12.
And the rotation gets dangerous and more dangerous because now they have to keep pushing into the northwest all the way through Coral Castle, and as well have to deal with the waterfall on the other side. They have yet to capitalize every time Mongo, Metro, and Tayson. Throughout the entire day, the door has been open, and they have yet to walk through that door. This door is just not like any other door. At the end of this door is the Grand Finals Championship. It is time. It is your opportunity to clinch it, to go up and grab it, to seize it. Don't let it slip away. Let's go.
And now it's all going to be onto them. This is the story we talked about. Just one singular opportunity, but they have to take it. An opportunity is nothing if you're not able to have the ability to capitalize. And with only the shockwaves and the peppermints and no extra shields, very limited builds, the opportunity looks like it's slamming in their face. The door ever so slowly creeping in. Storm Surge, not going to be an issue, but you see they need every point possible. If they drop, Metro and Mongrel get their trophy. They have the chance to steal it away, but it's going to be so incredibly difficult, as you said, because look at the number of triangles
Oh,
in between them in the
no!
safe zone, and the ambush. Janice goes down, the solo champion falling there in a key moment when you need to have everyone together, when you need every placement point in every elimination. He falls.
Now, oh my goodness, it's up to Andelix, the duo champion here, to kind of form up and know the lobby focus is real. And when you're down to these kinds of mats, it's all but a matter of moments. It is second place on the ropes. Oh, they're reeling. They might get knocked out right here, down to green HP, as Squeeze and Andelix are holding on for their tournament life and the opportunity to get the first place. It's not going to be easy. Sundown, they have a brief moment to breathe, but look at that half in and half out. They're not safe at all. There's still danger arising. Can Andelix and Xweez overcome the adversity and have an opportunity to at least get a victory royale and the overall championship?
They need the space, and we talked about being fortunate to even have an opportunity, but you have to be able to capitalize, and right now, they aren't getting that chance. There's too many people in between them. They don't have the resources. They have to find a key refresher, and right now, a smart path to go forward a little bit and over the side, but as you called out right there, 7 builds, Sancho. 7 builds, 21 HP, and a dream of first place, and an axe of champions as they begin to rat through the catacombs, but each door you break could potentially have a surprise on the other side, especially as you creep in, and we can see the yellow tiles right through the side, but Andelix recognizes their door opens up. They can't take any fire. There's no excess shields, and this is the tournament right here. Metro, Mongrel, and Tayson have been dropped. We're getting closer to placement points, but the only trio with a mathematical chance of catching them has their back against the wall, nay, the wall, a massive mountain, as currently 21 HP, 121 between them, 0 shields, 2 builds on Andelix. He has to find a snipe to make this happen.
One pump shot, one edit is enough to knock out Andelix and Xweez, and that is why they're hoping. But look, Zone says, you know what? No way. You're going to have to go up the waterfall. Now, all of a sudden, we're at an all-time high in danger. The tournament right here is at stake. No doubt Mongrel, Metro, and Tayson are happy, and this could be big. This could be big. This could be that refresher that they need. Let's see what that Squeeze finds. A brief moment just to relax and just breathe a sigh of relief here, but they're not done yet. They got a lot of work to do as they're unable to clean up that knock.
Oh, and a bad shockwave! Bad shockwave separates Andelix and Duck on top, and this is horrible because Andelix has no build.
No!
We talk about being a fish out of water. He's a fish in the water, and now he's done. It's all going to come down to Xweez, but they're into the placement points. It's a survival of the fittest, and how fitting. The story of EU has been the Lone Rangers and the clutch opportunity. Xweez with the opportunity to rise here and to make it a historic moment. 34 players remaining, 16 trios left, but he has a pump, a epic burst, 10 builds, and a dream, and the dream is quickly dwindling like a candle. He tries to find a little bit of space, but it's not going to work right now. Zone is closing in. He needs a refresh. He doesn't have the tools to win the game with 4 more builds.
Oh, no!
Somebody in his box! He finds the knock.
Jake!
Siberian Jake could be the gift that he needs. The damage still
No,
coming
the
through.
focus!
43, 10 HP,
Oh,
and
that's
he's down. It's it. It's over. They don't rise to the occasion. Metro and Mongrel get their first Keystone victory right there. Tayson combines as well with his solo invitational one, and we're going to ride out the final moments to see who can move up the leaderboard and earn themselves a little bit of cash.
And that is a strong opportunity for Andretta's trio. They've been silent throughout the entire day. They're in 5th place, and Andretta gets taken down, the lead slayer of that trio. So that's going to be an opportunity. So see who's going to get that game 12. It's all a matter of just technicality at the moment here, and we will be able to soon crown our grand finals champion. But let's see how this one rides out. We've had a month of intense FNCS trios competition. Let's see who gets the last victory royale before we close it down here on the EU side of things. And yes, a nice pickup right there. Who's going to be able to build on it? And a nice knock right there for Dwaja, Swag, and Snap. This is going to be a nice opportunity, though, to build on their success and an opportunity to get that victory royale.
Yeah, and you want to push yourself up the leaderboard because, again, we've talked about it. There's always prize money on the line, and we've seen it plenty of times. Crew in the final game, World Cup Solos, 66-6, a monstrous performance, and who can take advantage of it? Let's see the names in the lobby. Who's still on their feet? Moraine is still up as well. On the backhand side, you can see Karma and Cartoon trying to get, or Legends and Cartoon, excuse me, trying to get a little bit more room as well. 4 trios remaining, as we can see who can steal away the final moment and get a little bit of that screen time, get that 12th game victory royale, and it's looking good for Dwa as he also has 3 floppers in the inventory. He's going to open the edit for his teammate, and it's going to come down to a 3v2 here.
Here it is. That's Swag, Miro, and Snap right now. Swag, Snap, and Miro trying to hold on as much as possible. It's coming down to the final moments here in Game 12. Going to go up, and there it is! Swag and Co. get the victory royale. And what a great way to end here for Game 12. But the story, the unbelievable finish, the race between 1 and 2, Sundown. Oh, my.
Swag, Snap, and Miro stole game number 12 there at the end, but it was a tale of holding on through the first 6 matches, averaging over 25 points a game, getting stonewalled at the end, but finally, FaZe Mongrel, Liquid Metro, and E11's Tayson will get that victory. It didn't matter if the Horde in Europe tried to hold them back. They were unable to dethrone the Kings, and they will sit high atop their perch. And wow, what a way to close it out. Thank you guys so much. I had an amazing opportunity and a great time casting the entirety of EU this month. My name's Sundown.
I am Sancho West, and Mongrel's trio of Tayson and Metro are the crown jewels of the EU region. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sundown. Thank you, everybody on the production side. Thank you, Fortnite fam. Zeke, Reese, Shio.